For 11 years, a tranquil skeleton nurtured an orphan into a mighty hero, yet the empire seeking her loyalty betrayed her, ordering a cruel execution for her rising prowess. With her strength fading, she limped home, dying while embraced by the mentor who cherished her. That decision sealed their doom. Unbeknownst to the emperor, the skeleton was a fabled general, guardian of a demon corpse mountain. Press like this video right now and subscribe to the channel for my efforts, then I will continue. Thus our story unfurls on Chitin village outskirts, a silent place where secrets soon surface. The landscape lies calm beside the hilltop, the jagged summit glimmering beneath the stars. But wait, that's an articulate skeleton hidden in the soil, and as always a curious child roams at night discovering it. Strangely unfazed, the girl doesn't scream. Instead, she regards the skeleton with delighted intrigue. The skeleton is as bewildered as us. Imagine being undead, stared down by a stoic child. Suddenly she grasps his face. The kid is totally fearless, squishing his skull nonchalantly. She exclaims about a talking skeleton, remarkable excitement for meeting a supernatural being. The child stretches his face carelessly. The once mighty guardian becomes her amusing novelty. Finally annoyed, the skeleton speaks up. Never before has a child tried to modify his jaw so boldly. The skeleton's attempts at intimidation falter, overwhelmed by a child's steadfast questioning. He asks if she was taught to avoid monsters, trying to act as a responsible if unlikely creature. But she dismisses appearances, believing in looking deeper even with a living skeleton present. The skeleton recalls being lost in thought before this eccentric child barged unexpectedly into his solitude. She notices his vast, notched sword and assumes his blade far too grand for simple guard duty. He recounts his duty as imperial messenger and defender of sword and mountain, insisting he's not a mister, subtly revealing a secret. Impressed, the girl's eyes shine. To her, meeting the emperor's agent may as well be meeting a legend. With some pride, he boasts that not just anyone can bear the emperor's missives as he does. He capitalizes on her attention, conjuring a purple ghost to prove his command of forbidden arts. Clearly impressed, the girl drops before him, pleading to learn and rise in strength under his guidance. The skeleton, startled, went from mythical terror to potential mentor in the blink of an eye. He chuckles quietly, reflecting on the tasteless emptiness of his existence. Does he really mean it? Of course not. He waves her off, saying it's not worth it, but she wonders aloud if he's supposed to take her on as an apprentice. She's clearly familiar with this plotline and launches into protest, labeling him stingy and heartless. Her boldness is extraordinary, and the skeleton only stares, almost defeated, repeating he'll ignore the names but is not a mister. Fresh sunrise blooms, signaling another day and a brand new set of woes for the weary skeleton. The child is still loudly declaring her intentions, true devotion to the art of nuisance. He's bewildered. She's persisted. Don't children usually have guardians who'd be searching? Armed with a stick and insisting she'll master swordplay, the girl refuses to leave. He attempts the terrifying monster strategy again, warning she's making him look like a kidnapper. He's retiring his last justifications, but she averts her gaze, gently telling him not to fret about it. There's a clear sense a tragedy is about to unfold, and right on cue, she reveals her parents and home just perished in a blaze. It's the typical hero's beginning. Her mother urged her to become tough, and the tale of an orphan dreamer is always hard to reject. With determination strong in her gaze, she faces him, clutching a stick, a budding protagonist at heart. She asks if he finally understands, clearly hoping her story stirs compassion, and it does. In a sudden vision, he glimpses a mighty fighter standing where she is now. Her promise is immense. He sighs heavily, his reluctance broadcasting his inner conflict about what he's about to do. He relents and agrees to train her. The little one radiates excitement, envisioning dramatic lessons. Her motivation: heroes shouldn't turn children away. Wait, hero. The child freezes at the pronoun swap. Turns out our skeleton's a lady, a fact that surprises everyone. The young girl gleefully celebrates while the skeleton quietly wonders about her odds of endurance. Training commences without delay. The child flails her stick while her mentor watches, testing resolve. As her apprentice rushes past, the skeletal guide commits to shaping this child into someone steadfast. To her, this mentorship is penance for an undelivered message. She has old wounds yet to heal, shown through fierce lessons with the wooden blade, hard but necessary. Their evenings offer comfort as they doze beneath a grand tree, growing closer as companions. She instructs the girl in facing summoned fiends, an imposing beast for such young hands to handle. Sometimes she drifts off and rests on the earth. Even the bravest need their dreams. The skeleton stays relentless, as strict as a coach who allows no rest, keeping her moving. She tries to scare the girl, but time has faded any fear when facing a mere skeleton. They've even pulled pranks on travelers, mischief lighting up the child's face with delight. She's gifted at it. Travelers collapse in fright. Who wouldn't be shocked by that duo? Quiet times bloom beneath the tree, this mountain now their private refuge from the world. She gently grasps her master's bony hand, a silent sign of deep trust between them. They linger in peaceful stillness, sensing a coming storm they both know cannot be avoided. Now the girl's growing swift, her sword even stirs wind as her speed increases. See how fierce her form has become. She's no longer just a scrawny novice but something formidable. At last she's dueling equally with her master, the climactic moment of their long training. Both fighters are grinning, sharing real joy. It's the true spirit of mentor and student. After 11 years, the world's transformed, and the village girl isn't the child she once was. The skeleton is unchanged. She still hunts rabbits and calls for the girl she once knew. Grown, composed voice answers. The girl now exudes calm confidence even in a glimpse. She surfaces from the lake, transformed, a seasoned adventurer prepared for daunting quests. They share a meal in tense silence. She prepares to reveal something weighty to her master. The skeleton freezes, feeling the heaviness in her words and instinctively what lies ahead. She keeps her composure, asking with feigned ease about the seriousness as she stirs the fire. The girl reveals that her old village has vanished. It's not just her childhood lost, but all of it. She tells of villages erased, the empire abandoning them to monsters, leaving only ruin behind. Despair is seeping in everywhere, but she refuses to be another witness to the fading hope. She's reached a strength that lets her take action, confessing she's leaving to become a hero. Shocked, the skeleton spots the same fierce resolve that once shone in a dear old companion. A realization dawns. All 11 years of training were meant to prepare her for this moment. This ending was inevitable. She reflects on her friend who dreamt of heroism, never minding the mockery. He trusted that the heart matters more than qualifications in helping others, a thought that lingers. She feels heroic within, as Benra the skeleton declares herself the Northern School's only heir. In a ritual farewell, she gifts her student an ornate dagger, more a token of graduation than a weapon. Her wish is that she'll only unsheath her blade for reasons born from honest goodwill. While the responsibility is daunting, the student is prepared. She tells her to save the world and promises return. She swears to remain here waiting, humorously noting, "This gets awfully sentimental for a skeleton's tale." Dagger raised high, the hero departs for distant horizons, waving a determined farewell. Wishing her luck, knowing she'll need it, the skeleton waits for years as days and seasons drift by. Unsure if it'll be 5 or 10 years, she knows saving the empire demands a lengthy journey. Her duty now is guarding this place until her students return. She clings to the promise. You see the young hero racing over vast lands, cloak streaming through the turbulent air. She stays committed to her cause. Meanwhile, the sword stands planted atop the quiet mountain. What once made her anxious now brings comfort, for she has purpose in her enduring vigil. Brief but powerful connection, forever altering her. One quiet night, a mysterious and shadowy form draws ever closer. Heavy, uneven strides promise the long-awaited arrival of someone significant. A voice calls her Mister. Quickly, the skeleton objects. She's still no Mister, even after all this time. Upon seeing her, she realizes the hero leans battered and bloody beside a tree, dearly worn. She tries a smile, saying, "It has been ages," though she's teetering at the edge of her strength. Her bruised, scarred face reveals dangers far beyond any monstrous threat she could imagine. Staggered, the skeleton hadn't foreseen her cherished apprentice returning in such a state. The hero lets out a wild, slightly desperate laugh, branding the journey a wonderful adventure. She speaks of the vast lands and new sights discovered, clinging to positive memories among hardships. Using her mentor's lessons, the pupil truly helped many and lived up to her own heroic dreams. But then came betrayal. The emperor saw her as a nuisance and commanded her execution. Classic villain move unfolds. She's so weak from blood loss the skeleton must catch her. She whispers an apology for her dizziness, still calling her master Mister through the pain. She lovingly asks if her master was lonely during her absence, showing her affection. My heart aches. She wants to know her master's tale, blood staining her hands, clutching her cloak. On the great mountain's peak, the master and student appear so small in their tragic reunion. The skeleton's eyes flare ominously. Something powerful and dreadful is unleashed from within. Not just bones, but purple fire flares in her eyes. Woe to those who cross her student. Below, Empire's knights grumble, frustrated they had to climb to finish this grim duty. They mock her, jesting she should have accepted death in silence instead of resisting. They're clueless. One knight spots movement, questioning if someone actually resides up here. The skeleton stands radiating threat, asking if they still see this as just a mountain. The earth quakes and an eerie purple light begins to pulse, signaling nightmare to come. Its true nature is unveiled. The mountain is made from millions of demon corpses she's guarded. As the ground itself moves, the knights scream, realizing the horror beneath their feet. It's a feast for the undead. 20 years ago, she found the Demon King's lost army here. She destroyed them all, vividly describing how she dismembered and heaped up their ranks. Anger made her merciless. Forest covered the terror, and she remained to ensure such mass death was never misused. But now, protection is forgotten. She abandons her guard over this unholy mass. She commands every corpse into action, unleashing not a few but an immense undead army. A true legion rises. The knight captain insists one necromancer controls little, straining to reassure. He shouts, insisting numbers don't matter, desperately trying to maintain their morale. Regret flickers in his eyes, until he sees a boundless field of grinning skulls ascending. That limit doesn't exist for her. The knight can't move as falling darkness engulfs him. Escape is impossible. She leads her undead throng on a spectral steed, now death incarnate. The knight murmurs, wondering who she is, unaware he's about to meet the one he's offended. Her mighty scythe sweeps forth, releasing a wave of pink light that clears the battlefield. Nights are blotted from reality as she speaks, her voice like nightmare grinding stone. Rising tall, blade aglow, this reveals the true face of the Emperor's herald. Emperor's blade aglow vessel, herald enforcing original decrees with a tongue that shapes destinies. The ground splits from her force, and the mountain quakes in answer to her wrath. She admonishes the whole empire to heed her pronouncement, addressing all, not just knights. Her warning echoes to the world as villagers watch red skies and thunder hit the mountain. A giant storm spins over the rear mountain, a deadly hurricane swirling in dark majesty. The Emperor's will is absolute. Any betrayal leaves but one fate for the errant empire. Loyal nobles may set the realm right, which rightly means raising everything unrighteous. Her legion of luminous violet fiends stands by. Rebellion now dawns under skeletal command. On her spectral throne of skulls she reigns, and the empire chose the wrong adversary. She calls for justice for their tyranny. The ruling order meets its ultimate reckoning. The envoy delivers her judgment as someone flees, heart hammering a desperate rhythm. Glancing back, they watch their home burn beneath clouds of smoke and a scarlet heaven. Hardly the retreat planned, a hand stretches helplessly, a scream laments the ruined village. As he tries to believe he survived, a crimson arc erases him from existence in an instant. Those words end as undead swarm the outskirts. Think zombies lit with neon beneath skeleton steeds. The commanding knight sends all reserves to action, desperate to escape being someone's supper. He unveils a strange glowing orb marked roasted potato. It radiates more doom than snacks. Detonates with overwhelming force, launching fire and debris in a devastating wave. The sky swirls with purple flying beasts above burning ruins. Things got truly bizarre. The knights now grasp they are overwhelmed. This is far beyond one dusty tomb spellcaster. This is advanced sorcery. Skeletal soldiers march with eerie unity, motion, fearlessness, and fury. Observe the cavalry, bone steeds glowing purple. Necromancy never looks so splendid. A lone shape stands in the scarlet crater, knights shouting back up too late for help to matter. Newcomer arrives, a worn swordsman. He looks like caffeine kept him up for days. He's quicker than the undead can process. A blur, another skull falls to the ground. Declaring his attack Wolf Fang, he dances through skeletons as if slicing fruit. He pauses, steam drifting from his blade. The effort is obvious but stylish nonetheless. The effect works. He stands among bodies, the very person you'd summon for undead crisis. This is Ehersoma, a scarred imperial knight, all muscle and a look of exasperated resolve. Colossal shadow falls. The necromancer sits in a giant purple hand above the homes. He spies the master, instantly realizing the core of his upset stands before him. Rather than fear, he feels irritation. She's cloaked in dark energy, a final boss awaiting a challenger. He calls her simply the necromancer, the one bent on turning his existence upside down. With their clash set, S criticizes her frontline boldness, for this necromancer defies normal tactics. S unsheathes his sword, sparks snapping, pit bone against steel in this impending duel. The undead rush him, glowing with magic, yet he stays composed in the wave of advance. S launches another Wolf Fang attack, effortlessly tearing zombies as heat cleaves through ice. The master surges ahead, her grinning skull dominating the foreground. This isn't just magic, it's direct combat. Chaos reigns and S stands firm at its epicenter. Even the master is impressed. S scores a slash at an angle she thought unreachable. Her haunted eyes fix on S as she demands if he's seeking whoever wounded her apprentice. A violent energy wave rips across the streets. This contest is far too wild for the locals. Zoom on her skull, those eerie purple eyes would haunt anyone's sleep. If glares could destroy, S would be doomed. He attacks anyway, too tenacious to yield. Their battles, shockwaves flatten buildings, marking disaster for Shodan village prospects. Master moves with shocking grace. She soars, dagger ready. Bones weren't meant to leap like this. Steel clashes airborne, sparks flying as S struggles to match his opponent's swift moves. S concentrates, seeking a weakness, but Master's lack of organs gives no target to strike. They exchange rapid attacks, transforming into streaks of gray and violet from their speed. Master narrowly avoids a strike, her silence mockingly critiquing S's fighting form. S lands hard and braces for another burst forward. Despite his bleeding, he remains determined. Master sweeps S's leg with a brutal kick, a harsh blow that could easily shatter bone. S cries out about his injured leg. Facing a magically charged skeleton is as painful as expected. Of course, Master doesn't relent, launching straight into renewed furious blade clashes. Master prepares a crushing punch, wielding nothing but brute undead strength this time. She delivers a direct punch to S's jaw, the damage is bound to need more than repair work. Master reveals a dagger with a violet glow, and suddenly things just escalated dramatically. She hurls S to the ground with immense force, the pavement nearly groaning beneath the blow. A thick cloud rises as S hits, leaving him keenly aware of the cost of every choice made. Master gazes down with an unreadable, empty-eyed skeletal stare fixed upon S. It's a terrifying warning to stay down. She moves to leave but then abruptly halts. Upon hearing S's unsettling laughter, she pauses. S jokes and insults despite his bloody mouth. He demands to know Master's nature, noting only the legendary 4 knights pushed him so far. Master responds plainly, she is a revenant, meaning she's much too spiteful to nearly rest in peace. S suppresses rising panic and tries to stall, thinking to agitate her enough to delay the fight. He mocks her title, scornfully calling Master a simple fool. Bold move for sure. S seems convinced he's winning, oblivious to his dire predicament. He taunts her about past victims, playing the part of an expert provocateur. Necromancy described. Each undead costs great stamina, worsening with every new minion controlled. S hopes Master will tire herself out, so he patiently attempts to outlast her persistence. Master's patience snaps. She seizes S's face, promising an intimidating and difficult dialogue ahead. She crushes S's head as if it were a fruit, and demands his motive for harming Imperial subjects. The Master's fury makes her quiver, purple light bursting from her in growing waves. Taking the treachery to heart, she thinks of her student, the hero's own child, as she speaks. S's crooked smile fades as the Master raises him with one hand, rage making him look like a limp puppet. Close look at S, he begins to sense he's made a grave mistake, the enormity dawning. She slams him one more time. It's not about the battle now, just something she must let out. Ventilating her frustration, she pins S down as he writhes and gasps for breath. She looms over him, nearly death itself, another strike sending debris flying like shattered dreams. Chitin will need dozens of builders after this smash, yet S tries to appear unfazed, mocking her pain. His pride could rival a mountain. He boasts of greater goods and says the loss was justified. A villain's classic justification. She gazes down, darkest magic seeping from her hollow eyes. Calling him absurd, she is pushed past her limit, but SN looks on, slyly confident, ready to act. A huge blue energy pillar surges from the mountainside, catching the Master completely by surprise. She is stunned. Blue sparks fill the air like an otherworldly weapon locked onto the village. Light pillars encircle the city. It's no modest display but a tremendous, ominous power. Far below, a giant monocore thrums as its advanced network of circuits hum and hold strong. Daring ahead, S informs us, mission's done, the snare is set and Master cannot escape it. He demands they trigger the anti-undead ward, a flawless countermove to the Master's art. Suddenly, a tremendous dome of radiance bursts forth, enveloping everything from the mountain. It glows like a gigantic magical insect trap, brilliant enough to span to distant realms. The purple fiends falter, weakened as their life force is leached by the purest holy luminance. They wither to dust, vanishing swiftly. Witnessed in real time, the undead legions are wiped from existence. The knights cry in triumph, certain of victory as skeleton foes fade before their eyes. Chinese letter, Japanese letter, Chinese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter. The blast blows back her hood, revealing wild hair. Even her enchanted form crumbles in the glow. The Master responds gently, saying she's aware and likely knows who constructed it. For the undead, the world feels small, a fleeting vision of a once stylish legendary which flickers by. S wonders why the Master isn't scared. She just sits unruffled as if awaiting a ride. The Master explains that armies are replaceable, and she already has the ideal souls to renew her ranks. She summons spirits of people once oppressed by the Empire, practicing a deeper, unique necromancy. These souls unite, seeking vengeance for past sufferings with burning resolve. They aren't mere fiends but aggrieved spirits. The Master commands, her gaze blazing, a new war dawns. If you thought that barrier ended things, it only inspired her to evolve. Watch out for a legendary sequel. Before, nobody liked battle, yet it was inescapable. Worn warriors endured an unwanted fate together. Survival meant taking what you could, while death became a routine presence each week. Trying to live normally during those hard times was bleak, but hope arrived when the Golden Ruler ascended. Confetti filled the air, a shimmering dream. Reality soon breaks it, shattering their fleeting peace. Now we return to a present world faded and bleak, where a solitary figure walks a broken road. All the strength achieved seems meaningless when surviving alone amid the devastation. He faces a profound crisis of purpose, deeply questioning his own path. He remembers neither his purpose nor lost passion, feeling powerless and impossibly small. Lost in reflection, he wonders for whom he once fought as he drifts through heavy fog. With everyone gone, he questions what destination remains ahead in the aftermath. His era has vanished and he lingers, asking where he belongs, a shadow fading into a white infinity. If that isn't a perfect expression of melancholy, I don't know what is. Skeletal hand slaps a map on the table. She seeks directions, no subtlety in her intent. The crowded tavern stares at the hooded visitor. It's that classic mysterious intruder scene. But this newcomer's bones are bare, and a man dryly notes it's an adventure hall, not a guide shop. stop. She simply asks for directions, hoping to slip away without bothering the group further. Not seeking trouble or chatter, she's interrupted by a red-robed man scoffing at her bold arrival, eager for a bout he'll surely lose. He accuses the hooded one of bloodshed, a grave insult towards a shambling corpse. He shares a bleak tale about a necromancer who brought ruin to Chitin village. The air is so tense it nearly snaps, as awareness grows that the rumored horror is present there. Comprehension overtakes him completely. He gazes into the eyes of the village's greatest fear. Trying for stealth, he attacks with a dagger, but it's predictably deflected instantly. He loudly declares she is indeed the villain from the tale, quite unnecessarily reiterating it. Now exasperated, the skeletal leader's eye begins to glow, ready to clear the troublemakers out. It genuinely offends her that they wish to fight when she merely sought a simple direction. She challenges them with a voice thunderous in its rage, calling out their blatant defiance. With one strike to the ground, she shatters the tavern floor beneath their feet. Everyone tumbles below as smoke settles, the defiant man remaining upright and battle-ready. He realizes how rugged he is, wondering if the skeletons sense their intent, as the master stands firm. He decides since stealth fell short, it's time for Plan B, which clearly involves escalation. Ordering his followers, chaos erupts as they attack her from all sides like frenzied fans. Still uncomposed, the skeleton master insists she only needed directions, but to no avail. She tells them they're responsible for whatever happens from now on. Raising her hand suggests imminent danger as an attacker leaps in, seeking her downfall. Though he expects victory, fate disagrees while she avoids deadly blows with effortless ease. Her display is effortless, flickering pink blasts hit hard, a magical flurry stinging their pride. She lands a forceful blow to the first attacker, the beaming energy an absolute rebuff. Even as a new foe charges, the master's already vanished to his rear. With astonishing speed, she parries another attack, radiant light flashing through the room. The tavern's utter chaos as she effortlessly grasps a sharp blade, sparking pure alarm. Her bony hand on his throat, he realizes his knife may have been too feeble for this foe. The master easily lifts him, then lets him fall, revealing just how little he mattered. With disregard, our bony companion marches away through the dust, set on new conquests. She pauses and glances over the ruins, proving even skeletons enjoy a theatrical moment. A detailed glimpse of her skull reveals she's seeking the next challenger to face her. Two men cower in the shadows, frozen with fear and fully aware of their inferiority. A burst of pale radiance fills the room, akin to a flashbang's sudden, blinding brilliance. Kick launches a man airborne, the master's technique impressively nimble for being skeletal. Perplexed, the thugs search for her, she's toying with them like death incarnate. The master steps from the haze, now appearing even more formidable and intimidating. Embracing her fearsome image, she unnerves a rough man, finally grasping he's hopelessly outmatched. He turns and, startled, the master stands before him, making his heart likely miss a beat. She parries an attack with her staff, instructing rather than harming as she utterly outclasses them. Terror floods the rough man's eyes, for he knows his fate is sealed as the fight's victim. Now narrating her battle, she declares, "As you strike with thrusts, let me demonstrate true skill." She drifts through opponents like mist, always ahead, leaving them swiping at nothing but air. Catching another fighter off guard, she proves it's as mismatched as pros versus beginners. Instruction intertwines with blows as she explains that their thrust style is merely a feint. "This is the genuine attack," she declares, delivering a precise and punishing strike. Effortlessly, she sends a foe crashing into the wall using only one precise hit. Likely a broken bone from that blow, onlookers above are awestruck and cannot comprehend her power. Shouting in disbelief, they lament their captain's defeat in a single, overwhelming strike. Their leader has been vanquished. The master, commanding amid the haze, coolly asks for another challenger. Witnessing this, those in the rear tremble, having lost all desire to confront her. They demand her identity. She is not an ordinary skeleton but something truly extraordinary. Now a legend, she is halted by a balcony voice. The guild master, prepared to offer terms, has arrived. Adventurers take comfort in their leader's appearance, hoping he alone can resolve the peril. Meet Tor Vinland, leader of Garm, the most northern adventurers guild of the Empire. His appearance shows he's battled many hardships, with a confident grin hiding real danger. He proposes they chat elsewhere, so now we're in his office, quiet still without the tavern chaos. Tor admits he heard rumors of a skeleton on the back mountain, once dismissed as a jest for newcomers. He mentions someone requested investigation, signaling his secret is no longer private. Mused, Tor begins to laugh at how strange this all has become. He acts unfazed by the living skeleton, but she sternly slams the desk, her eye flashing a warning. She insists to Tor that things are urgent and she wants to resolve matters quickly and efficiently. She understands Tor needs something from her and knows these words aren't just idle conversation. Tor simply closes his eyes, assuring her their request is straightforward. Here, things turn sincere as he produces cigarettes, explaining the guild suffers neglect from the Empire. He lights a cigarette, sharing how villagers abandoned homes to endure, for the Empire deserted them. Daily they're haunted by monsters, and as he clicks his lighter, you sense the exhaustion in his gaze. The master responds, "If you wanted to live, you should have fought back. Doing nothing brings nothing." That's harsh yet honest. Tor stares gloomily at his cigarette and replies, "It's not that people did nothing," his voice tired, resonating defeat. He laments it wasn't lack of trying but sheer inability, and the air feels somber from his words. They stood powerless against authority, so folk banded together to protect their own through guilds. The master wonders if he'd considered rallying the guilds to challenge the regime, a bold concept. Tor sighs, it's complicated, uniting would spark war leading to many needless deaths. It's not mere bravery now, they hoped a savior might arrive as they eked out survival, longing for a miracle. Day after day they clung to desperate hope, yearning for salvation from any corner. At last she came, he recalls a young woman bearing a sword and a knowing expression. There she was, a true heroine, matured from the beginning, seeming ready to reshape destiny. That new light lifted them briefly from misery, yet hope faded, he wonders where she lost her way. Brows furrowed, Tor reflects that real resolve was stifled by lack of anger. Darker tones fill the talk as he admits he'd die if it brings vengeance, since war demands sacrifice. With a lean forward, the master quietly expresses her desire to make a request. She formally enters the battle, and Tor pledges 2 ready adventurers willing to depart now. Tor commits fully, fixating on victory with the master demon or not. Revenge binds them. Everyone agrees to join her conflict. A mighty figure has now strengthened the resistance. He apologizes for ignoring the village, and for a moment, true respect bridges their differences. Setting down 2 red tags, the master admits that it's been 150 years since her last request. After a long retirement, Tor picks them up stunned. He can't accept what he's seeing. These ruby rank tags were lost since the Great War. This skeleton is a timeless legend. To his left, speechless, realizing he is meeting a living legend and wants to know her true identity. She reassures him gently, calling herself just an unsightly remnant of days long past. Her humility makes her even more imposing as she accepts and heads to the continent's harshest peak. Roaring for action, the master sprints into the snowy wilds, resolve blazing in her skeleton form. The journey forms on a map, tracing Benner's path from the guild to remote Chatten village. The hunt starts as the 5th day drags them through frostbitten peaks, beauty cloaked in peril. Harrier scans the expanse, watchful. They stealthily cross the icy wilds to elude Imperial eyes. The squad presses on. Harrier, Dohanu, and their skeletal leader travel like it's a mild outing. The master admires their swift progress. Even bone and spirit nearly keep pace with the living. Suddenly, their luck shifts. An Imperial campsite sprawls across the very heart of the pass. Confused, the master wonders how foes arrived first. This camp means their adversaries are settling in. Dohanir reveals these aren't trackers but looters returning from raids upon nearby villages. Quick map study shows their plan: retreat to the capital, foiled by a relentless blizzard. They're unready for the cold, but the master spies a lower path and wonders about its end, plodding swiftly. The master still battles to remember who is who among her companions. As daily endangered raids mark the homes, Harrier verifies the grim news. The knights will raid homes for food, as daily raids mark the new emperor's rule. For the citizens, life under this regime is pure torment. Harrier's expression shows it all. Having witnessed so much cruelty, she decides if they threaten more innocents, they'll never descend this peak. Harrier is shaken by her fierce resolve. He glimpses a terrifying presence beyond mere monstrosity. She strides calmly toward the enemy camp, leaving her 2 guides behind in stunned silence. No tactics are needed, she is the plan, and her 2 companions quietly witness a force of nature. Suddenly, a mighty shockwave tears through the heart of the Imperial encampment. It's clear she's deadly serious. The camp erupts in chaos as confused knights rush from their tents. Forget your future rewards. She steps from the haze, crackling energy making her appear as a spectral wraith. As the master charges forward, Harrier experiences a revelation. This truly is a living legend before him. She smashes into the knights' ranks, knocking them aside with overwhelming force. Her superhuman agility sends armored warriors flying effortlessly, as though they were weightless. Her strength is unreal. She fills the air with vivid slashes, a dazzling storm of power, untouchable by any blow. One warrior's helmet shatters from her strike, a sound seems almost audible even from afar. With a shout, she unleashes her slaughtering strike, devastating an entire squad in an instant. Chaos spreads among the mounted knights, panic clear as one cries out that their foe is just a single person. Yet that one is a furious skeleton. With one motion she fells both a rider and his steed, sparing none. Amidst the wreckage, she taunts them for underestimating what one is truly capable of doing. Far from finished, she asks if their vision is just ornamental since they ignore the army behind her. Things worsen for the Empire. A legion of spectral phantoms arises from the snow, brimming with wrath. The undead overrun the last knights, dragging them silently into the wintry depths. On this frozen slope, unmitigated horror unfolds. Harrier and Dohainryu now realize her earlier restraint. Nightly cries pierce the air as spirits dismantle them. This isn't war but a chilly reckoning. In close-up, her distant expression makes her seem detached, as if undertaking a simple chore. Armored champions are flung aside by spectral hands, the Empire's strongest utterly outmatched today. Upon her immense undead mount, the master glides through ruins, true ghost of Chatten. Realizing their role is just cleanup, Harrier and Doha finally decide to descend together. Those skeletal paws are gigantic. One effortless step could flatten an entire carriage. The master observes the carnage. This battle's momentum has shifted. It will soon finish. That's an understatement. The knights are crushed beneath the undead horde and have no escape. Cornered and doomed, a knight unleashes a scream that echoes with stark despair. An aura of ill fate hangs thick as the master leaps down, confronting a resisting spear knight. It's a brave yet silly act. Before the knight blinks, the master blurs forward to close in. Her lightning speed borders on vanishing. Her agility surely rests at its absolute peak. She launches a fierce kick, hurtling the knight, and notices something slip from his neck. The helmet cracks and blood pours, his gaze fixed on her, filled with utter incredulity. She retrieves a humble pendant, perhaps gifted by someone dearly cherishing the soldier. Dohain-ryu approaches and begins a serious talk, the atmosphere turning mournful after the clash. Holding the charm, she understands it embodies a daughter's hope for her father's safe return. War breeds sorrow, genuine remorse touches her as she quietly regrets her earlier careless statements. Even the dead feel family's pain. Doyo reminds her all sisters bear unique wounds and motives. A grizzled guild member claims they are now mere avengers, spending lives to satisfy vengeance. Harrier gently warns not to be lost in vengeance, for everyone is awaited by someone dear. The master gazes at the dying knight, who clutches his chest and fights for breath. Her purple specter lingers behind, the fury has faded, leaving the grim residue of tragedy. She murmurs her remorse, aware that such sacrifices for her student deeply burden her heart. The knight's last words drift toward Michelle, his daughter, as life leaves his body. Motion brims, the master lingers in gentle snowfall, momentarily no longer an unfeeling specter. She faces one spirit she summoned, with a final duty left before their journey resumes. With a single strike she dismisses the spirit, her summons come to an end for now. With her back to the group, Harrier praises her, but the master has no desire to celebrate. Harrier and Danaru tell her to rest as they handle cleanup, a task everyone dreads. The master looks away, drifting in thoughts that linger on someone she loves like a daughter. Dohain-ryu quietly calls her strange as they watch the master light a blaze to burn the bodies. She says these people won't be made undead, honoring them with respect the Empire denied. The pyre blazes under the mountain night, a somber beacon seen for miles in the darkness. Harrier falters, unsure who she's honoring, sensing a deep sorrow surrounding the master. Dohain-ryu sees the master's weight, though her face is bones, she seems marked by grief. She stands at the flames, a striking figure letting both past and sorrows go to ashes. A dark whisper rises from her shadow, warning her of the endless hard choices yet to come. The master snaps at the voice to be quiet, it's a violetide fiend linked to her spirit. The spirit chuckles, mocking if she thinks she's truly alive, the age-old whisper of evil. It urges her to rebel against fate, certain that ultimately she'll only find heartbreak. She remains silent, standing her ground and withholding attention from the jeering spirit. Determined, she ignores fate. Elsewhere, another Empire territory is a scene of blazing ruin. You meet Lord Frey, a flame-haired villain whose eyes light up at the thrill of destruction. Reveling in terror, he jokes of grisly games with royalty, revealing his total disregard. His mania is clear. A knight invites him to join chaos, but Frey smiles and politely declines. Obsessed with bigger conquests, Frey says he laments the easy collapse of the doomed land. Yearning for a greater foe, Frey wonders aloud if anyone dares to rise against the Empire. Weary of easy wins, he eagerly listens as the herald reports undead are at the northern rampart. Frey grins, finally real news. He chuckles, pleased a true challenge awaits him at last. Excited by this mad challenger, Frey exclaims his delight at facing such a novel adversary. He orders the army to get ready, refusing to let the promise of battle slip from his grasp. Stalking barefoot to his army, he encourages them to join the fray, energized for the fight. His formidable knights wait in darkness, set for battle against a starkly different force. Frey calls for war, his fierce face betrays his craving for chaos, indifferent about the victor as long as conflict erupts. We've walked through this icy desert for 2 weeks amid endless snow and lacking any signal. Silence begins weighing on Danu. He points out the master hasn't spoken these past 2 weeks. Harrier gazes at the master, puzzled by the sight of a levitating skeletal head. At the guild to connects clues, suspecting the master's identity ties to the slain Spear Tower warrior. Everything adds up. Her escape aligns with the undead incident and to remembers the master's familiar fighting stance. His movements followed a precise order, not random at all. They mirrored a refined hero's stance, hinting the master taught and absorbed lessons alongside her pupil. On the mountain, Harrier and Dohain-ryu confide that the master shares their raw desperation but isn't evil. He writes his report, guessing the master's journey north is pivotal to the downfall of the Empire. He realizes he needs skilled local guides to journey alongside a living legend, that's Harrier and Dohanu. Tor briefs them, Harrier takes shield duty and Dohain-ryu leads as a warrior on the front line. Tor grins confidently about his plan, which signals the coming of trouble for their squad. Harrier feels uneasy, fearing the master's unpredictability could upend their fragile mission. He delivers scrolls that finalize their fate, cementing their course with no option of retreat. With an approving smile, they are sent off on this dangerous journey. To feels optimistic. Harrier grumbles at his comfort, then recognizes a landmark and probes the undead for its meaning. The master pauses and scans the horizon, her sense of place completely certain. She quietly says it's the Spear Tower village, her words swirling with nostalgic warmth. A memory unfolds. A young hero places a paper bag atop the master's head, youthfully bold. Smiling with pride, she flashes a thumbs up as the master stands awkwardly, resembling bagged groceries. The two once dashed through village streets, awed and joyful in the sunshine before hardship struck. With peace signs and the innkeeper observing, daily life flashed with color, noise, and laughter. Moments revolved around the tavern, where the hero shone as the town's beloved mischief maker. She joined in darts with the locals, relying on the same accuracy she'd bring to war. She lands every bullseye, sending the crowd into cheers, proving herself destined for greatness from the start. The tavern used to overflow with life, a sharp contrast to the quiet, frozen world the master now endures. Still masking her face, the master was content just to exist within her beloved world. Once a blissfully simple life, now the tavern sign swings broken while silence blankets everything. The targets remain, but they've gathered dust, forgotten by all who once aimed. Games haven't been played here for ages. Now the inside is destroyed and filled with overturned tables and rubble. It feels like the ghost of a once vibrant space. Witnessing its ruin deeply changes the mood. The master steps through the empty room, every movement echoing her sense of loss. She sits in darkness at the bar, waiting and longing for a memory or spirit to return. With a fist on the counter, she hears a voice announce the place closed long ago. The innkeeper appears, aged with scars, as weary as the rest of the world. She instantly recognizes the master, then expresses her surprise, never believing she'd return. The master raises a glass while the innkeeper recalls stories of the young teacher who became a hero. Taking a long drink, the innkeeper reveals hardship etched into her since they last spoke. She names the drink Dione, speaking as someone all too familiar with its bitter comfort. Meant to mark new chapters, this cheap liquor is somewhat ironic amid these village remains. She shares that the hero left this drink behind for her master before setting out forever. It served as a farewell. The innkeeper shares how adventurers would drink it together before departures. A symbol of hope, Dione hasn't been poured here in ages, its hopefulness forgotten by all. All the adventurers have vanished, now only phantoms and those awaiting the end reside here. The master recalls the world's collapse, understanding rebellion's cause, yet mourning their path of harm. She pictures the hero's childhood, certain she dreamt of a kinder world than this present darkness. She taps the bar, confiding in her student's spirit, regretting choices she made, convinced the hero would shun them. With her old diary in hand, she wishes she'd given her a future of magic and not vengeance. The innkeeper returns items belonging to the hero, cherished remnants of her student's life. She explains the hero requested her to deliver them, a pupil's parting gesture for her master that could move even the heartless. The master recalls her student diving into tales of adventure and leading comrades to rescue others. Dreams of fairy tale triumph filled her world. She aspired to live as Red Jade's legend. Wishing for her own fairy tale adventure, that memory glows, oblivious to her tragic fate. The master gazes wordlessly at the bar, confessing she would have left alongside her student. Her hand shakes on the counter, and now adventure feels bitter, almost a cruel taunt. She understands that revenge ensnares even the wise, and sadly she repeats that flaw. Consumed by angels of anger, she glances at the tavern once more and lightly thanks the innkeeper. Rising and heading out, she's questioned about her travels, the purpose in her eyes renewed. The innkeeper calls after her, asking about fresh journeys, but she only vanishes into the snow. A vision of her student appears again, a girl longing to leave the dark behind and journey together. Guided no longer by vengeance but yearning for adventure, she now chooses her true path. She strides toward deeper mountains, tracing the course her student once planned for her. Her true quest truly begins at last, seen exiting the tavern like work is simply done. Harrier and Morin wait. Harrier insists on the standard path next, and can't resist teasing Morin for his usual blunders. Harrier detects a difference in the skeleton, her aura unsettles him as they set out. In the guild office, Tor clutches old scrolls, entrusting this eccentric three with overturning the empire. Tor prides himself on judging character but knows it's risky. Disorder from the master just might work. With their master striding ahead, Harrier and Morin join her. Soon, ancient warrior lore will unfold. Time for an adventurer ranks lesson, 10 levels starting at novice to the greatest of champions. The pyramid's base is earth and its summit unattainable diamond, the mark of legends. Few pierce the highest echelons while rewards rise with rank, most halt at topaz, the high wall. Those who exceed topaz ascend to superhuman and like living bombs draw close imperial scrutiny. Ranks 8 and above often venture solo where maps end or rush into battle with fervor. They shift the fate of combat merely by arriving. Imperial generals fill these upper ranks, unmatched and ruthless. Adventurers of lesser rank take on simple nuisances. It's humble labor, yet someone must handle it. Harrier takes the lead, detailing the tough work ahead for our master. Harrier is an earnest guide for once, and mid-tier folks like Topaz battle giants. Now it's real teamwork. Morin darts ahead, as lively as any Topaz rank, proving his worth despite his antics. Harrier glances back to see if master's listening as he brings up the subjects that are last on his list. With a gesture, he notes how only a hero of diamond tier dares forced to face such legendary enemies. Dragons and ageless monsters fall to the higher ranks. These three must have once threatened entire kingdoms before becoming tapestries. Harrier questions their attention. Master simply gazes hollowly back, likely daydreaming about supper. Harrier and Myron share they are Topaz 5th tier, impressive for their time, but to Master, it's like being a trainee. Master nonchalantly claims to have been Ruby rank once. Myron and Harrier exchange looks, doubting her sanity. Harrier tries to recall if Ruby was legend or myth. Myron remains skeptic, not believing a word. Myron looks at her as if she declared she created the very air they breathe. Myron bursts out laughing, insisting Ruby rank is fantasy and playfully calling her a joker. Their laughter dies when a giant demon foot, burning purple, crashes down dangerously close. Master stops joking and chillingly asks after her undead legion, her presence overwhelming. The earth quakes and a frosty calm falls. Myron's complexion fades, rattled to the core by the truth of legends. A towering dark beast stands before them as Master calmly reveals her own power too. The guides collapse, pleading for mercy and desperate for Master to make it stop. With the lesson clear, Master vanishes the summon, leaving her followers trembling. She taunts them as cowards, noting Northerners are braver. Her pride is evident, and rightly so. For a quiet moment, she recalls her true comrades of a century ago, incomparable to these hopefuls. Visions of her and the young hero in the mist linger, marking adventure before everything was lost. Close-up of the smiling hero's face shows what now sustains Master most. She remembers a girl craving fairy tales, then grins, at least as a skull can, and inquires about their journey north. Harrier notes monsters swarm the area. Master reveals her need for a human army since undead falter against the Empire's new shields. She recalls Ishur Soma, that bearded figure whose barrier obliterated her forces in a flash. The memory stings her pride, and she asks if a fuse really can halt an army, as clarifies it was no ordinary shield. That enchantment was made by a renowned sorcerer, designed to halt undead, and used where the demon king reigned. Master knows only living comrades can bypass the Empire's wards, so she must recruit humans to seize the throne. Her new strategy is to ally with Northerners, turning the world's outcasts into her personal vanguard. Harrier finds her idea wild. He says Northerners are infamous, furred brutes who despise outsiders. Master confesses her first strategy was to simply assassinate the Emperor and leave. A simple answer to a complex problem, but her pupil changed her mind. Violence alone solved nothing. She must rebuild the realm. Morin now sees that Master is not just avenging, but rebuilding. Master switches topics, accusing them of cowardice for fleeing the great hunt before training begins. Harrier and Morin appear shaken. She's exposed the shame they've tried to hide with no tact at all. She allows them lenience since they have a journey ahead, and prepares them for a relentless new regimen. Harrier is overcome with dread. He senses that Master's kind manner foreshadows trouble. Master's aura intensifies. She announces lots of work ahead and urges them forward without delay. She proclaims a new game as she conjures a huge beast, telling the boys to run while they still can. Harrier freeze in terror and yell at her, begging not to provoke her ire. It's too late, time is running. Harrier flees at breakneck speed, knowing the Master is serious. Stays, regretting choices as Master begins her countdown, hurriedly skipping most of the numbers. Unfair or not, time ends. Master towers above, dreadful in survival now defines the contest. The beast attacks. Harrier cries out, desperate, as their training arcs into terrifying intensity. Master observes with chilling skeletal calm. She isn't cruel, just resolute. She toughens them not out of spite but to ensure survival, honoring cherished memories by never letting go again. Hand to her chest, she confesses the vanished still linger in her heart, a burden not fit for bones to carry. She chuckles at her panicked apprentices. She never wished for pupils, yet that's where fate has led her. She guides them herself, ensuring they don't turn into threats amongst humanity. Brutal as it is, this is her care. She promises not to stray again, watching them confront the beast. Her determination grows with each heartbeat as she swears to defend them and cherishes her new purpose in this changed world. Far away, a towering dust cloud signals an enormous presence moving toward them, as Master claims she won't be alone but remains watched by a threatening predator. A hand shapes the wild battle through a circle of fingers, high above as someone spies from the peaks. It's Frey, the red-tressed villain, who now at last stands face to face with them. Frey declares, "I've found you," marking true danger's arrival. As the immense purple creature devastates the woods and Harrier's survival skills prove useless in this monstrous encounter. The beast's enormous fist smashes down with a quake, and Harrier escapes only to be surrounded by flying earth and chaos. Harrier is falling apart, shouting aloud his impending doom. His instincts plead for change as he realizes mountain guide dreams dissolve quickly if a demon targets you. Relentless, the monster's crushing steps batter the forest, shaking the ground with terrifying might. Next to the beast's sheer size, Harrier is minuscule, narrowly missing a giant stomp and struggling to catch catch his breath together with panic. Spotting a figure on the bluff, Harrier sees a grinning scarlet-haired warrior, thrilled by the destruction. The red-haired woman lounges at the summon's side, making it clear she controls the purple brute. Leaping atop the monster, the skeletal master strives to tame it and halt the rampage in a desperate showdown. A swift, fierce duel erupts as the two cross swords, their clash sparking life in the frozen wild. The red-haired girl, close enough to frighten, flashes feral eyes and a jagged smile as she greets her. I haven't slept in days and adore fighting. The master meets that unsettling grin without flinching, locked together in a contest of icy glares. With her hand tightened, the master prepares to demonstrate why Ruby veterans aren't to be challenged. Showing her might, master twirls into a whirlwind attack, pulling the red-haired intruder into its core. She bellows dragon bone smash, smashing down with such power it reshapes the very land itself. Means safely away, gawks in awe while yelling for Mr. Skull, not realizing the master's a woman. As the haze drifts away, master demands to know why she was attacked by a stranger, calling it a breach of manners. The scarlet stranger just laughs, relatively unharmed, her twisted tone demanding to know who master is. Emerging from the smoke, wielding a harsh blade, she introduces herself as Frey and says meeting the Phantom of Spear Village is a true pleasure. Wonderful, another famed villain appears, brandishing a huge sword right as the group hikes the mountain. She declares, I am Frey of War, one of the Empire's 4 knights, the title of peace is far too tame. The master recalls Etcher S had once mentioned such top knights at this level are finally here. Frey, pleased her introduction landed, declares it's now time to fight and urges the master to prepare. Eagerly, Frey darts ahead, quick and fierce, her movements agile enough to rival a bone master. Thunderous explosion echoes through the range as their powers clash in energetic battle. The blast shakes the woods, they're locked in a blur of steel, swords nearly vanishing with speed. Frey laughs with incredible joy as master flips away from danger, thanks to her stamina as a skeleton. When Frey pounds her sword down, the earth craters again, as if she's fighting atop baked mud. The master strikes back repeatedly, her odd limb movements granting attacks from uncanny directions. Master kicks Frey far, making her call the skeletal fighter the strangest opponent she's met. Master tenses in frustration, facing such a formidable knight is truly challenging her abilities. Commenting on her foe, Frey says, fighting you feels utterly inhuman as she notes the bare skull. As Master's joints snap into place, even the seasoned Frey finds the spectacle unnerving. Master unleashes several punishing blows, rigorously testing the limits of Frey's sturdy armor. No longer restrained, Frey sweeps her sword wide, with force so fierce it tears up small trees. They hold each other in stalemate, devastating the woods and gaining no ground. Rooted, Frey stomps hard as she readies an attack so fierce it threatens the mountains. Growing tired, Frey laments the blandness of the fight. Her interest in battle is incredibly fleeting. She asks if Master's divided focus stems from Harrier and Morin, and offers to dispatch all 3. Cold anger flares, Master bears threats against herself but not her trusted companions. Ray detects the endless determination present, stating that Master wields unusual skill and reach. Master produces a searing burst of white light. Frey, right beside her, is caught by the brilliance. Master states, my flawed sight is your downfall, exploiting Frey's confusion to full effect. Magical radiance blinds Frey, tears streak from her eyes, and now she finally seems truly imperiled. Master yells at Morin to grab the sword and flee. She's no longer aiming for a fair battle. Her only concern now is escaping with her team. Crimson smoke erupts and floods the mountain. This is a colossal smokescreen. Everyone chokes in the thick, acrid haze which holds much more than smoke. It's actually hazardous as they flee on the Grand Summon's back, gliding above trees as smoke thins behind. Master reveals her trick, heaps of chilies infused with blast smoke and powdered turtle shell. She laughs, claiming she ought to write it down. Master pretty much pepper-sprayed the Empire's general, proving cleverness surpasses effort. Yet Morin remains worried, stating if she is one of the 4 knights, even an army might not suffice. He fears this is only a temporary reprieve. The master agrees, uncertain if she could truly stop her. With the reality of their strength difference looming, they cross the wood's boundaries, planning to vanish deep into rugged, untrackable mountains. Master instructs them to make noise, it's their best escape, exploiting every trick to throw Frey off the trail. Harrier glances back and feels dread pool in his chest. He pleads to check behind. Frey is instantly there, riding a surge of scarlet energy and looking furious. Master shouts for them to flee. She sets into a northern stance, resigned that escape is no longer possible for her. Standing firm, Master braces as Frey unleashes spiral style, their deadly intentions saturating the heated air. They collide with their ultimate techniques, explosive energy painting the world in crimson and violet light. The blast is immense, like a newborn sun exploding on the mountain's rugged slope. Towering mushroom cloud rises. The battle now resembles a catastrophe for the land itself. Frey keeps a too calm tone, cataloging her wild experiences, immense beasts, smoke bombs, and a sword-wielding skeleton. She claims things are getting fun and asks if Master has more, enjoying the chaos unfolding. We zoom in on Frey's wild gaze. She's lost to the thrill, enjoying each unpredictable second. Without warning, Harrier hurls dirt and wittily complains about her making a mess. Bold move indeed. Annoyed, Frey cries out at the offense, scolding Harrier as a rogue for ruining her attire, revealing her odd sense of villainy. The group runs on, trading jests. Master jibes about her battle-worn grandeur, escalating the mental games. Master pointedly asks why Frey isn't summoning her forces, trying to learn why she battles them alone. During the pursuit, Master observes Frey with disappointment. Despite appearances, something seems wrong. Frey gazes at Harrier and Morin as if they're pests she could squash merely for amusement. Sinister, luminescent red eye dominates the scene, with Frey's deadly intent at its height. Getting serious, Frey appears before them and sharply questions their nearness to the foe. Blushing and drooling in madness, Frey declares her desire to crush her head. She clearly needs help. Frey smashes her sword down so powerfully the ground cracks, abandoning restraint once and for all. She tries to wipe them out but triggers a trap and takes arrows mid-swing, now firm blood drawn. Proceeding into arrow-filled old woods, the Master reveals this is the North Tribe's sacred mountain. The map tracks their journey as they guide Frey deeper along the Ben LRA route into tribal heartland. The real fight begins. Even as Frey is struck by arrows, she grunts dismissively at the barrage. Standing tall with violet energy blazing, the Master says this is not just another forest. She calls it the sacred ground of the North. Vast, blood-stained mountains serve as clear proof. Frey wears that savage grin now, having understood she's been drawn in, but she relishes the setup. Unfazed, she plucks an arrow from her neck like it's nothing. Truly, Frey is of another ilk. Ordinary people would collapse, but Frey just laughs manically and couldn't care less about tricks. Frey ridicules the ambush, feeling anything less than a sword fight is beneath her warrior pride. The Master calmly sits, inviting Frey to win the tribes over if she thinks it's possible. She's more than willing to watch Frey stumble, while Frey eagerly anticipates her greatest battle. A real danger, Frey grins and tells the Master she's counting on her, misusing her pronouns still. Exasperated, the Master drops the matter. Meanwhile, Frey treats this tribe of warriors as toys. Relieved, Morin and Dohanu hurry to the Master to guarantee her well-being after all the chaos. Harrier is reserved, his steady gaze full of doubt about the Master's true nature or origins. The Master glances back, belatedly recalling the guide's presence, aware of her awkwardness. Northern warriors shout their gratitude from the branches above, honoring the group's aid. A lot of yelling marks Northern welcomes. As the Master starts to speak, another arrow grazes by. Cloaked archer giggles unsettlingly from the boughs, clearly unimpressed by their skeletal guest. This man is genuinely proposing to make the Master's skull his drinking vessel. Northern tribes greet newcomers with alarm, and the Master sighs, sensing real danger. She remembers these rogues. Warriors descend, set to make the trio into mountain fixtures. The Master gives a clear command: run, since facing furious tribesmen isn't wise now. A strong woman with fiery eyes and a spear blocks the way, declaring she's found them. She looks thrilled by the chase. Arrows fall thickly while the group dodges to survive. Harrier panics and reminds the Master she'd claimed to have a prior agreement here. She claims to did, but mentioning century-old friends who are gone isn't smart when undead. The Master fears that as fugitives, giving their names might invite unwanted trouble now. A hail of arrows lands at Harrier's feet, leaving him trapped and cornered by their skill. The tribesmen shoot with alarming accuracy. The Master halts, ready to invoke her famous title. A massive shadowy figure blocks them, demanding they halt as the Master declares her name, Edward Benera, seeking the chief. She's finally pulling the classic "you must know who I am" maneuver. A wary red-haired man is the first to pause and listen, though clearly doubtful of her claim. Relief washes over the Master, who figures her problem vanished with a mere name drop. Alas, that hope fades as she's suddenly confined, staring through the cage's sturdy iron bars. The famed name proves useless. Harrier and Doha share the cell, Harrier mocking the Master's plan. Harrier shoots the Master a look of pure reproach, while she silently regrets being unable to blush. Outraged, Harrier reconsiders the wisdom of joining a skeleton's perilous mountain adventure. The Master insists she's from the village, only from a time predating their current guard's birth. Harrier shouts desperately, stressing that he can't handle imprisonment and making it everyone's issue. Red Lamb Village emerges, a harsh, snowy stronghold built to repel any would-be invaders. Lost in thought, the Master hopes the chief will recall her as the ancient school's heir. Meanwhile, Harrier unravels, remembering they aimed only for safe delivery, not imprisonment beneath the village. Frustration overcomes the Master, who bangs her head on the bars. Even the undead have breaking points. The guard gazes at her as if she's some loud curiosity, only calling her undead with boundless disrespect. We see the wide village square, a perfect stage for either dire punishments or weighty discussions. Chained, the three are led out. While the Master stays calm, Harrier seems on the brink of tears. Master is fastened to a towering post, and she notices with some sadness that the village hasn't changed in a century. In a vast arena of stone, a voice demands to know if she's the infamous undead they've discussed. Meet Red Biden, chief of the Red Lamb. He's as robust as a fortress and acts accordingly. With narrowed eyes and icy detachment, Biden wants to know why she, city, a skeleton dares enter here. Harrier and Dohanryu plead their case, but Biden dismisses those unworthy even of their homeland. Once more, the master politely tells the chief she should be freed before any real conversation. Biden refuses. To him, impersonating a villager brings serious punishment. He's eager to deal with it himself. He continues berating Harrier and Muron, calling them cowards, pressing every one of their sore spots. The last thread of the master's patience snaps as she clenches her fists, wood creaking ominously. With an eruption, she destroys the post and her chains, about to overturn these time-worn local customs. Red Biden stares in shock, utterly unprepared for the way she so easily shattered her bonds. Rising, Biden casts off his cloak, declaring, "Enough, I'll handle this myself," frustrated by her insolence. Master's single eye catches fire with vivid pink. We see she's eager for personal showdown. Biden charges like a shot, his agility betraying his mass. Clearly this chief is no ordinary leader. Uniting skill and might, he crashes an axe down, forming a fresh fissure where the master stood moments before. In full rage, Biden promises to tear her apart. He's utterly consumed with fury and launches another attack. The force leaves tremors in the arena's floor, proof of Biden's extraordinary physical prowess. Undeniably, the master is a flower of color and speed, outmaneuvering Biden and making him lumbering. Effortlessly dodging, she also breaks her cuffs for emphasis, mocking their mere symbolism. Danaru warns Harrier of danger while Harrier's mind reels. The cuffs were snapped as a challenge. The master instructs her allies to retreat. This duel is hers alone, a private demonstration for the chief. Biden roars and rushes anew, expending every reserve for a decisive attack. He whirls twin axes in a storm of gleaming steel, a deadly tactic that rarely fails. A mighty blow cracks the floor, cloaking the fighters in dust so thick they almost vanish. Dohanuru's eyes are wide. Never before has anyone stood up to the chief this boldly. The master weaves through the axes as if walking on winds, her steps light and sure. Her northern finesse shines as she reads his power, judging cannonball attacks and seeking the gap in his wild defense. She blocks his massive swing with her arm, and the collision ripples a wave through the air. Without flinching, she meets his gaze as they lock in a tense, skull-to-face stalemate. Master seizes her chance, striking swiftly. Biden's caught off guard by her sudden power. She exclaims she's returning all blows, turning Biden's force upon him and magnifying her impact. Biden flies across the arena, a cry escaping him while the crowd falls into an awestruck silence. Master doesn't pause, striking like purple lightning in a seamless barrage upon her foe. She batters him with precision, expertly undoing Biden with every blow landed from above. Biden attempts another swing, but now his movements are sluggish, marked by desperation. His grip slips, the axe sinks into stone again, and now, defenseless, he's at the master's mercy. All Biden hears are her clenched teeth as she towers, asking if that was truly all he had. She delivers a thunderous punch to Biden's chest, a blow that might stop a heart outright. Zoom in on Biden's eye as truth strikes. The master's cold voice confirms his defeat. Biden is hurled backward, skidding like a stone over water as force sweeps him away. Master glows amidst ruins, triumphant and spectacular, truly embodying her legendary name. Biden grasps for her arm, but she only meets his eyes, telling him there's nothing left but bone. She crowns him with a powerful headbutt as if mountains clashed, leaving a lasting impression. Her next kick launches him away, chastising, she declares, "The dead must not tread with the living." Gasping, Biden kneels and retorts with a law. The dead simply turn to dust. Standing tall above him, the old master prepares to impart her time-worn fate upon him. Biden peers up in dread, stunned by defeat before his own people in what he thought his domain. He feels helpless, aware that she struck his pressure points with precision amid the confusion. He tries to recall when she acted, as she challenges his ideas, insisting the dead vanish, remembered by the living who keep moving forward. She confesses the phrase is all too familiar, but Biden's way of living it feels completely misguided. She probes why he is kneeling in life while in death she strides forward. It's a piercing critique. She questions why he remains frozen as she moves toward him, showing her will outshines tradition. She hovers above, sword aglow, the very embodiment of mortality standing over him. The arena goes silent. Biden sees he's thoroughly outmatched, much like sparring with his master as a boy. He concedes defeat, asking her wishes, finally humbled and open to her demands. She instructs him to call together the northern chiefs as war upon the empire looms. Her purpose is not forgiveness but recruitment, and Biden, half amused, agrees to soon gather them. A luminous tribal mark shines on Biden's brow as he vows to summon her to the Northern Assembly. Now invited, the master stands near her guides, quietly observing the chief before them. Terms agreed, trust is scarce as the master utters Harrier's home, stunning both Harrier and Danaru. Perplexed, Biden asks if the master chose her path knowingly through Red Lamb territory. Harrier nervously laughs, a sign his secret identity is about to come to light. Sprawling northern mansion contrasts boldly against the rest of the modest little village. Biden announces it, Harrier's true identity is none other than Swordhawker Harrier. Our guide hides noble roots, as his tribe and the Red Lambs are ancient kin. Far more than a guide, Harrier is next in line to lead the White Lion Tail. His skills now make sense. Raised for leadership, Harrier declares his real name loudly, though captivity dampens the display. The journey map marks Red Lamb at the mountain's edge, and the Empire Road just shifted in intrigue. Cobb continues, Red Lamb's domain sprawls, yet Harrier's secluded mansion dominates the mountain. Proving family fortune, a vast timber manor welcomes them. Master yearns for shelter and directs them inside. Skeleton Master, playing noble, jokes about the once humble guide's stately stride. Harrier, serious, renounced his prominent name long ago and wants no connection to this legacy now. Murren frowns and mutters, this place feels really off, then retreats to her room, glancing back to marvel at how Harrier now feels like a stranger. Master agrees with her. Harrier's now oddly stiff, and Van's son, the weathered caretaker, enters, carrying wisdom sharpened by many winters. Master introduces herself as Benra, but Van's son, undeterred by her skeletal form, instantly asks about Morin's well-being. Morin waves weakly and says she's doing fine, even if her words lack conviction. Engaging in chit-chat isn't her strength. Once, as the gardener's daughter, she cared for the flowers with her father. Though she appeared to be Harrier's friend, the rigid hierarchy marked her as a servant, a reminder of complex social divisions. Master seeks details of their shared history, so Vanson confirms Harrier stayed with the Red Lamb tribe just to train for his future role as chief. In those formative years, Harrier literally battled dragons to prove himself as a true warrior. Not simple training, he learned responsibility and leadership behind each heavy blow. Leadership in the North means extreme trials and constant faction conflicts, demanding relentless effort from Harrier each day. But the repeated heartbreak from failed hunts drove Harrier 4 years ago to hide with, abandoning his destiny. Gradually, each servant departed, finding their places again among the White Lion Tail. Still, only Vanson remained, loyally tending the silent halls, so Master finally asks what drives such unwavering loyalty. Vanson answers with a knowing smile beneath his bushy beard, a rare emblem of steadfast devotion. He never doubted Harrier and Morin's return, keeping the home prepared for the day his master would come back. Apparently, the tribe collectively waits for him, and everyone there already knows Harrier's true identity. Master finds Morin lost in the garden and asks her purpose, glad for relief from endless conflict talk. Old habits are hard to break as Murren, from a lineage of gardeners, resumes work in the familiar flower beds. Murren confesses she fled with Harrier because she believed he'd become a worthy chief someday. She risked her safety for the greater good and begins to tell how she and the chief's son became inseparable friends. As children, Moron's father, Possum, once brought her with him to introduce her to the mansion's chief. Here's where it all begins, in front of Chief Hawker Ryman Russ, a burly leader able to best wild beasts without faltering. He greeted them warmly at Lion Tail's grounds, calling their arrival the mountain's will. He invited them to live on, promising family and support, real northern grace for those in need. Hulsame feels overwhelming gratitude, but young Harrier just watches their new guest, baffled by her sudden presence. The chief tasks Harrier with being Morin's guide, and Harrier is clearly unenthusiastic about it. The snow-blanketed village feels peaceful, the perfect setting for a friendship to begin blooming. Harrier stands tall and tries to act formal for his introduction, but Morin already sees through him. Her familiar spark of mischief is clear in her eyes, instantly captivating as always. With a grin, Morin hands him a trick stick, making Harrier panic about northern goat dung. Harrier is in shock while Morin laughs delightfully, giving her own introduction in the chaos. Then Harrier aims to assert dominance by mentioning his rank, using classic childhood bravado. Still visibly rattled, Harrier meets Morin's indifference. She's not fazed by his status whatsoever. Status means little to her, and she wisely wonders if it's better than sharing laughter, leaving Harrier speechless. Lost for words, Harrier marvels. He's never met another kid who didn't care about his lineage. Blushing, Morin jokes about his intelligence, and in that moment, a sweet young crush blossoms. From then on, every day is spent together, with Harrier lending a helping hand like a budding gentleman. They dash about on giant boars, savoring their carefree northern childhood days before the trials of life. Harrier dashes through the meadow and, as always, ends up losing another race to Morin. With her stick in hand, Morin is already showing the prowess destined to make her a warrior. Even though elder tribesfolk tease them, the friends brush it off without concern. They face everything side by side. Morin flashes a peace sign as Harrier is stunned by her spirit. Morin always kept him guessing. As years pass and they train, Harrier notes her refreshing honesty. She sees beyond his rank, just Harrier, and being known this way means the world to him. He shares how it was novel for him. In this harsh tale, Harrier even finds himself blushing openly. In time, the warmth of youth fades, replaced by the growing weight and truth of the future. Reclining amid tall grass, Harrier begins truly feeling the impending pressure of his path. Doubt rising, he worries he'll never match his parents' legendary deeds and confides in Morin. Though anxious about joining the Red Lamb tribe, Harrier finds unwavering encouragement in Morin. Her smile is his compass. With her faith and the white lion tail, Harrier finds his motivation anew. We return to the present as icy mountains loom, as daunting and ruthless as the mission awaiting them. Another memory rises. Harrier finally encounters Redbin, his mentor, to begin harsh training. Here the struggle begins. Biden grows fierce, promising to teach him so he may fulfill his role. Should a chief fail, the tribe silences him. Biden warns Harrier their lives depend on his strength. Harrier strains against giant stones on sheer cliffs. It's exhausting just to witness this ordeal. Biden thrusts a playing piece down, bellowing that strategy and intelligence rule their warriors. He endures endless maps and lessons, destined for tactics mastery no matter his wishes. A vast library awaits where he must learn over 2,000 volumes from history to monsters. Biden drives him relentlessly among mountains of papers, demanding mastery over every detail. Pages stiff with blood speak of torment. His training tests both body and mind with severity. Harrier sits utterly spent, blood trailing from nose and ears. No child should bear these trials. He doubts his resolve as pressure overwhelms him, feeling close to reaching his breaking point. Even the bravest falter sometimes. Alone inspires him not to give up and lose himself. Harrier, surrounded by scrolls, steels his mind and pledges not to falter. Despite the sky-high stacks, his grinding carries on for a full year in Red Lamb lands, days intertwined. Meanwhile, at the mansion, Myron and Van anxiously await word as his silence grows longer. An enigmatic, cloaked courier appears amid the storm, bringing a sense of foreboding urgency. Flowerpot crashes to pieces nearby, their bad omen crystal clear. Something awful has happened. Rushes out to greet him, her face resigned as if bracing herself for terrible news. She hears his message, one that will forever alter the destiny of their whole people. The shocking revelation: Harrier, the chosen chief, has disappeared without warning. Some ancient lore surfaces, describing how gathering friends is needed to overthrow evil's ruler. A wizened elder with white beard and pipe tells young Harrier the legends of old. Their dreams of greatness form. Harrier clings to the tale, certain he'll become its hero one day. Now an earlier chief appears. Ari's mother, powerful and valiant, stood defending their kin. The entire tribe revered her deeply. She was something greater than a mere chief. She embodied the white lion tail's spirit, while Harrier strained each day in pursuit of her legacy. Despite relentless striving, he carried the weight alone, craving their greatness, and staking his being on his blade for a day when he'd finally measure up. Suddenly, tragedy struck and the hunt's disaster left him lost and fragile, standing alone in bleak snow. On that blizzard-lashed night, Harrier fled. It was the least forgiving moment for escaping alone. Van's son urges Morin to reconsider, reminding her even the bravest warriors stay inside now. Yet Morin readies her things, undaunted by risk, unable to watch Harrier vanish into the night. Morin rushes into the ice and dark while Van's son cries after her, far too late. That's true devotion. Morin quietly admits she understands her deed is reckless but steps forward still. A close look at the white lion's sigil on her back shows she bears her tribe's honor in seeking Harrier. The mountain's enormity is overwhelming. She is a speck, pressed onward by biting white winds. Though shivering and near spent, she keeps moving, tracing a path only she can spot amid chaos. She barely murmurs his name, almost lost in the gale, pushing onward beyond what strength allows. Now that the storm is lifting, the northern village emerges, though her quest isn't finished yet. She slips into a gritty tavern, seeking the faintest trace of her companion in the shadowy crowd. That may be Harrier, downing drink after drink, as if desperate to drift away from his own mind. Halts in the doorway, patience gone. Harrier blinks at her as if she can't possibly be real. Harrier sits disheveled and weary, painted by sorrow, his expression one of forlorn resignation. This broken soul is far from the dreamer who aspired to greatness, so Morin finds him and scolds him harshly. She braved the white wrath for him. Tension fills the air as Morin demands an answer for his retreat from all he knew. Feigning indifference, Harrier claims it was never meant for him, that he's empty of gifts or merit. His pride shattered, unable to meet her gaze, Harrier simply believes he's past all saving words. Pulling back, we feel the gulf widening between them, their bodies close yet hearts miles apart. Harrier swallows another fierce drink. His sorrows refuse to dissolve in numbing liquor. Urin explodes, clutching his collar and reminding Harrier that he once longed to lead their tribe. Harrier gazes back with lifeless eyes, quietly sharing his mentor once called him unworthy. It's harsh coming from a mentor. He recounts how his repeated failures became pure ineptitude. An empty bottle spinning on the floor perfectly reflects how spent and hollow he's become. Listing shortcomings one by one, he confesses neither fighting nor magic suits him, as if tallying defeat. He voices his lack of talent, neither skilled nor ingenious enough to compensate for his flaws. Utterly defeated, sprawled on the ground, he appears broken while watches, pondering how to help. Over and over, he's reminded her, people have deemed him unworthy of being a true warrior. He holds onto those words, insisting she can't relate since she's never known that burden. He imagines a place where judgmental eyes wait with high hopes for his inevitable failure. He feels lost in shadow, dragged deeper by his despair and invisible hands pulling him down. Such heavy thoughts fill the air. Morin gently asks if that's why he ran, seeking no judgment. Harrier admits here the air is lighter, no oppressive mentor or tribesman expecting greatness. He sits alone with defeat, calling himself a sorry drunk shield bearer. This is truly rock bottom. Claiming the loser title, he sits as Morin lays a hand on him, asking if he wished for this fate. Harrier mutters uncertainty. He's wandered so far from his dreams he barely recalls his purpose. Close look at his eye reveals a faint glimmer, dimmed by layers of doubt and self-hatred. Morin's gaze is tinged with sympathy and hope, believing the old Harrier endures beneath pain. She resolves to save him. Years pass, the world shifts, settling quietly into newfound rhythm. Sunset view bathes the northern adventurers' village in warm, golden silence. Serenity replaces chaos as Harrier inspects an old request from Spear Tower Village, still unclaimed. Morin stands nearby, her confidence growing as their two-person partnership flourishes daily. The shield he grips, ancestral and unchanged, keeps the memory of his origins close to heart. He tells her it's time, no chief, yet he remains a fighter of his own unique courage. To Morin, Harrier shines a bit brighter, not what he once was, but healed in small steps. Staying 2 years by his side, she hoped that slow days could gradually mend the pain. He seldom mentions his tribe now, which is troubling. As they enter the village, Harrier tries to fit in but remains clearly different. Since he still holds onto his shield, perhaps he'll reconsider someday and return. Morin is counting on that hope when the earth trembles, thinks of earthquakes, but here, such events are rarely just acts of nature. Myron sees our beloved master of skeletons waiting in the heart of the village. Here's the spark. The legend of the skeleton messenger is about to ignite, and the escapees' lives are set to become far more interesting. Myron confesses that their task was once only an escort, but the master's presence changed everything. She glimpsed traces of the former Harrier, noting his gift resembles that of the masters, not mere shield users. This is high praise. Even though she's not great with words, she firmly recognizes talent. Master quietly suggests taking Harrier as a disciple, is fully supportive, convinced Harrier has potential. She remarks that Harrier simply had a poor mentor before, indirectly criticizing his old teacher. Savage Master agrees and believes she knows what Harrier needs. She's already preparing training. Back at the manor, a sudden noise startles Harrier and he urgently asks for the intruder's identity. Anxious in the house, he sees a gigantic fist smash through the door in a bold entrance. Harrier, now pinned to the wall, looks thoroughly perplexed. The master ought to try the doorbell instead as her head pokes in, announcing it's time for training. Harrier cries out in fear as Master, unfazed and determined, hauls him away, forbidding delay. Master warns him, "Miss one day I'll know, miss two, and your enemies will too." That's quite the motivating line. Harrier, utterly alarmed, asks how she can threaten so calmly. He finally grasps his path's difficulty, still lamenting his past, but Master brusquely silences him. Only stern guidance exists here. Harrier wonders if the master can truly read minds given her timing. Master gently pats his head, clearly serious about teaching him and now deeply invested in his growth. She calls him clever. Harrier looks vexed, yet faint pride flickers through his annoyed mask. Morin, watching harmlessly, laughs. She finds smart kids charming and feasts on Harrier's minor failures. Defeated, Harrier lies still, signaling he is reluctantly adapting to his unfamiliar new existence. With a long exhale, Harrier admits exhaustion from training that's barely even started. A somber mood falls over the scene, where a large wooden grave marker stands amid snowy silence. Escher Soma faces the grave with grief etched deeply into his expression. He begs forgiveness from his fallen friends, burdened by guilt that he alone remains and is unworthy of Valhalla. Carrying the weight of surviving is a hardship that never truly lifts. His gaze sharpens suddenly as he warns that the Empire's wolves approach. Peace shatters and tensions simmer in the mansion while Biden hunts for Harrier, thinking he's hiding. Master relaxes like she owns the place, saying she's teaching Harrier and suggests to begin without him. Biden snaps that teaching Harrier is foolish, believing the boy failed real northern training. Unbothered, the master tells Biden straight out that his judgment of people is poor. Maybe treating your trainees with more kindness would stop them from wanting to escape, she hints. He never truly saw the boy's promise, she remarks, her eyes glowing fiercely pink in warning. She tires of Biden's negativity just as the doors fly open with urgent shouts, shifting the room's energy. Biden grumbles about the tribe's disruption, uneasy at losing his authority mid-tirade. Through the doors, the gatekeeper rushes a battered coastal defender into the mansion. This is no practice. The front is lost and a desperate survivor begs Biden for vengeance or he can't face the dead. Biden calculates coldly, understanding that immediate retaliation will cost them dearly. He tells the man to return and keep faith, saying empty bloodshed would bring no true victory. Bidden plays a cautious strategy seen as cowardice, but the survivor panics, insisting their death is near with the enemy already there. In silence, Master senses the endless echo of sorrow and defeat throughout the ages. Memory surfaces of coastal annihilation, the Imperial horde overwhelming defenders too swiftly to resist. Veteran defenders disappeared beneath the snow, barely able to fight back. It wasn't a war, it was wholesale destruction as he called for help under a volley of arrows. Devastation scars his features, blood blurring his view while the Empire claims its victims. He is haunted by the eyes of his abandoned comrade and cannot escape his regret. Now, lost in the aftermath, he stares ahead with trauma crushing his spirit. The Master recognizes that hollow gaze, coffins in the graveyard are empty, as warriors find the greatest disgrace in not burying fallen brethren. Now Morin stands with the Master outside, keenly discussing heavier matters. War draws near as Morin is finally recognized as a northern warrior, a fact that the Master says has long been obvious. Master praises Morin's determination and wisdom, but then drops unexpected news. By failing the great hunt, Morin was only pretending, and Morin awkwardly admits the praise unsettles her. Being commended by a legendary skeleton is unfamiliar. Talk turns to Harrier, whose self-hatred binds his fighting style with the legacy of his mother. If he could free himself from that, Harrier would be far more powerful. Harrier possesses talent but lacks a warrior's resolve, as Tor Vinland recalls worrying over how to inspire it in the guild. He claims this harsh, vital lesson can't be taught. You have to gain the will by living through despair. The Master knows her duty is to bring wisdom from old stories to the current age, standing between legend and the new generation. Together Master and Morin sense that calm will soon break, a violent storm brewing on the horizon. Far in the forest, Imperial wolves surge forward, their invasion presses on relentlessly. A week later, stillness settles over the northern mountains just before both literal and figurative disaster. Frey eats snow as Victor struggles to maintain order, though Frey refuses discipline completely. If my commanding officer snacked on frozen dirt, I'd check for other jobs too. Frey claims the snow is tasty, generously offering some. Truly she's Empire's most unpredictable soul. Asher Soma, the former commander, appears miserable and mocks Frey's group as fools. Victor defensively claims each of his men equals 100 and half-jokingly mentions a bloody icy treat. Madness runs rampant. Frey asks Soma if he's come seeking her championship rank at last. Soma growls that time is scarce, and his only business is with the troublesome necromancer. His resentment lingers. He scolds Frey for idleness and delaying her troops' march into the hills. Fatigued with her antics, he gets only Frey's chilling smile in reply. She questions why she'd share her plans. Soma expects her to bring chaos, so he scorns Frey as pitiful, him precise, while she borders madness. He turns and departs, promising to handle matters himself and not waiting any longer. He directs his unit to ready for scouting with light gear, advancing straight into enemy lands. He orders them toward the northern peaks. Imperial steeds pound the snow beneath their hooves. The invasion has commenced, as his face shrouded by a dark mask warns the necromancer. I will make you suffer for tearing off my face. Hungering for revenge, he watches as the Imperial camp dominates their advanced scorched earth. In Red Lamb Village, the Master inquires about the gloom casting its shadow. Imperial armies have stormed the mountains. Biden states this is not a simple raid but an all-out assault. From the coastline flows a colossal force, intent on razing the mountains and blotting out the tribes. Biden has dispatched envoys to allied clans, but arrival will come too late. They face the first attack alone. Biden's eyes blaze as he says, "This is war now, phony peace is dead." Master clenches a thin fist, declaring that she will not let another village burn and commands a path be made. Harrier and brace themselves, unwavering behind their mentor despite what dangers come. Close on an Imperial helm, the unstoppable march of conflict is fully unleashed. The fields churn in pandemonium. Clashing blades, cries, and roars ring through the hollows. Honor resonates through the battlefield. Outmanned northern warriors stun the enemy with unmatched fury. The struggle is savage. Axes smash shields, spears drive at armored foes. Amidst the blizzard's chaos, Master surveys the mayhem from her peak, lamenting the relentless return of bloodshed. Memories of her prime as a general surge, but this campaign weighs upon her like no other before. She declares she'll no longer flee from her purpose. Now she bears the tribe's destiny and stands resolute. With steadfast intent, Master sees the battered defender straining to leave the healer's shelter. He cannot watch, insisting, "If I remain and do nothing, I am already dead." That is real northern pride. Master halts him, points to his broken limbs and urges patience. She means no ill, only truth. Her solemn inquiry is your urge for vengeance. Seeking his true motivation, she listens. He denies revenge, insisting the red lamb are noble shields. Yet as a shield he bemoans his failure, swearing his pain is not hate but shame for falling short. His fight is rooted in honor. Master softly raises, "Could we break their peace and call the ancients back?" Stunned, he wonders at the cost of awaking the resting, declaring that reviving the dead defies their code. This is forbidden magic. The traditions up north hold hold rest for the dead as deeply sacred. Master's hand tightens as she tries to persuade him to disturb the fallen for the sake of finishing their cause together. The guardian leans weary on his sword, faith and duty at war within his tired heart for his people. Master gazes skyward, knowing her strategy requires the guardian's agreement to succeed. She requests their torn flag temporarily, her frail fingers stretching toward him in appeal. Before casting profound necromancy, the defender, teary-eyed, sees her as more than just a fiend now. Offering the frayed tribal banner with approval, he entrusts new hope to what he'd always feared. Admiring his unwavering spirit, she sends vibrant energy lashing, bathing earth in hallowed light. Blinded, the Imperial Knights cry out, bewildered by the sudden brilliance enveloping all. Never have they witnessed such radiant force, shadows flee under its blinding, cleansing intensity. Even S shields his gaze while Air Soma stares upward, recognizing power thought long vanished. Master's commanding voice echoes, urging northern warriors to rise. She radiates the aura of war's divinity. Glowing armored form appears, she declares lost champions are now back from beyond. No mindless undead stir, Master Skeleton rewakens the legends of the coastal guardians instead. Their weathered pink banner soars atop frosted peaks, heralding a return the Empire never foresaw. Specters assemble, thousands arrayed in brilliance. This ghostly battalion is poised to trouble the living mightily. Imposing, Master Skeleton exhorts them, their cherished Mother Mountain is being defiled at this moment. Surge of violet power erupts as earth tremors signal mounting force beneath her command. This is more than summoning, vengeance stirs, bone reincarnates in spectral leader's hands. Master Skeleton enjoins the return not to lose composure. It's time to seek their might, not even Valkyries can stop these Northmen rejoining the mortal war. Now vivid with otherworldly fire, the spirits band together for this final critical command. The undead host storms forward with a tremor, snow cast aside by their relentless stamps. Their orders ring out in utter clarity. Fulfill your mission before the dawn and return peacefully to your rest. This fleeting pact comes with a finality. Master Skeleton's violet glow engulfs the valley, decisively shifting the war's balance. Tears blur the northern survivor's vision as witnessing his revived comrades battle again is utterly heartbreaking. The northern tribes lift their banner high, pledging their last stand to protect their homeland. Ghostly riders thunder across frosted earth, horses and men alike charged with daunting violet energy. Empire scouts may question their paths as Master Skeleton orders louder war cries, promising the dead will drown all noise. The camera lingers on her skull. With lidless eyes aglow, she steers this ghost legion into destruction without pity. Unyielding shields push forth, creating a moving fortress of warriors unfazed by any threat of dying twice. Master Skeleton lifts a hand, beseeching the spirits of Mother Mountain to pardon raising souls from death. She recognizes the heresy, her gaze heavy, granting the coastal defense force one last bid to redeem their destiny. She turns to Harrier and says softly, "You're not quite ready for battle yet. Keep your distance, child." Master Skeleton wavers, saying sometimes early learning is needed. Harrier pales while stands by. The whole valley gleams violet as the foes ready themselves, and Master Skeleton affirms this battlefield a place for Harrier's growth. She gestures downward, daring Harrier to find the right answer he missed during the grand hunt. This is a scene of gore, not trial. As terror freezes Harrier, he sees heroism is costlier than myths ever say. Imperial knights are beset on every side. Life flickers and fades in this merciless, frigid onslaught. Master Skeleton stoops low, staring into Harrier's core with her empty, glowing eyes. She inquires whether he can rise to the call. Harrier looks away, unsure if he can bear such a daunting burden. She urges him to clear his mind. War means carrying both its weights and its dark reality, no matter what. Placing a hand atop his head, she grounds him, instructing him never to look away from sorrow or error. She declares her own duty is merely enacting the war, while Harrier must fulfill his as a northern warrior. Now Harrier must step up. As a spark ignites in his gaze, he asks about her path, but she's already away pursuing another foe. Surge of force rumbles as Master Skeleton advances to face the beast commanding the Empire's ranks. Frey delights in chaos, laughing wildly as the undead rise. She stands unmatched as history's strangest commander. Harrier crashes forth with an earth-splitting leap, finally throwing himself into the battle's heart. He dives where life and death collide, cloaked in vibrant golden brilliance that burns with resolve. Urges him forward as he storms into Imperial ranks with newfound courage. No longer timid, Harrier now faces the enemy as a real northern warrior, mask hiding determined eyes. Imperial mages ready their glowing staffs for attack, but their defenses form agonizingly slow. The front line forms a shield wall on command, but soon Harrier will shatter their hopes for defense. Harrier lands in the heart of the enemy, daggers out, cutting through the knight's barriers unhindered. He slices between armored foes with dizzying speed, too swift for them to grasp their swords. This is not a shield fighter's method. Stunned, a knight marvels at Harrier's vaulting prowess. No Imperial ever thought he'd see a northern tribesman move like this. Harrier strikes cleanly in armor gaps. Like a phantom, Harrier hops atop armored heads, dismantling an entire squad single-handed. Flashing through the vanguard, he leaves a crimson trail while unreachable by the desperate knights. Baffled, Morin observes and contemplates Harrier's unfamiliar shieldless tactics from a distance. Master Skeleton comments on Harrier's cat-like agility and almost supernaturally elastic strength. Harrier admired his mother and mimicked her shield style, which sadly concealed his own talents. Memory appears, Harrier's mighty mother thrived with her shield, yet that path was never his. His truest gifts are subterfuge and slyness. He's crafted to dominate multiple targets in close combat. He's at his peak, faking out enemies while flicking her daggers to silence Imperial spellcasters. A thrown dagger pierces a knight's helmet, as Harrier demonstrates he's far more than a mere fighter. He weaves a deadly, immaculate dance, standing over the fallen, his blades gleaming red. The skeleton master admits it. Harrier is akin to herself in the art of battle. Dual-class rogue brawler, Harrier forgets fear and finally lets pure instinct guide him. Harrier advances through chaos with unnerving composure, while panicked knights scatter and scream. His outline among snowy peaks shows the spirit of the north, living as his truest self at last. Master Skeleton is surprised as Frey charges rapidly, her speed now astonishing. Now like living shadow, Frey grins madly, her eyes glowing eerily in the dim. Brimming with anticipation, Frey almost lands a fatal blow, the parry sends Skeleton sliding. Frey taunts her for acting like a teacher, screaming that caring for others will be her undoing, and certainty shows Frey detests gentle guidance. Master Skeleton adjusts her stance, grunting while struggling to track Frey's wild speed. Blades slam together in a sudden burst of sparks as their swift movements whip the air into waves. Frey strikes hard with a blade pulsing red, meticulously tearing through Master Skeleton's guard. Frey seizes Master Skeleton's arm, her iron grip threatening to shatter bone with ease. She vows to kill when S appears, as enigmatic as ever, and draws his blade to join the chaos. Cloud bursts as a figure slams into the snow, turning the fighting ground into utter disorder. Harrier looks over and, sensing the shift, calls out desperately for his master. He realizes his mentor's in deep trouble after S joins, blade pulsing with black energy and consumed by vengeance against the Necromancer. S unleashes Wolf Cloud, engulfing everything in destruction with a surge of wild mana. Harrier twists acrobatically in midair to avoid being swept away, the clash reaching outrageous heights. He smashes an attacking knight with a heavy kick, fighting to reach his master before S claims her. But he is blindsided by a fierce hit, hitting the ground as a voice warns him never to drop his guard. Morin catches him in time, and Harrier, battered but remaining resilient, voices his thanks. Morin seems anxious, but Harrier flashes a confident look, annoyed that Frey seized his chosen foe. S stands among the havoc as shadows mask half his face. He exudes the role of the perfect brooder, while Harrier and Morin face him and realize S's attacks echo the skeleton's style. S draws his sword, grinning menacingly, glad Frey failed since he desires the final blow. Calling the duo an appetizer, S's wicked gaze scorches the northern recruits with malice. He boldly invites Harrier and Morin to face him, regarding them as little more than a warm-up. S shifts into his Dawn stance, his blade wreathed in red light as his aura thickens with deadly intent. Harrier and Morin assault him as one, united in their fierce wolf howl combo, striving to take him down. Surprised, S asks about their new maneuvers and wonders if something fundamental has shifted in them. Harrier retorts that they'll always fight together, explaining he's discovered a sensation entirely new. Every nerve tingles sharply as fear melts away and only his own sheer presence remains. He slips into the flow, weaving through S's slashes by mere centimeters, reaching a higher level mid-battle. S, growing frustrated, calls Harrier a restless rat, haunted by harsh memories from his own past. Close-up reveals S's fury. He's losing control since he can't land a hit on this child. Hatred twists his face, anger swelling inside him as he nears the brink of rage. He erupts, launching a Dawn-style storm, his blade spinning a snare of crimson, aiming to cage Harrier. Harrier meets the first attacks head-on, but the amount of pressure bearing down is immense. S's true prowess flashes as Harrier notices he breathes once per move, realizing this is his moment. Seeking an advantage, he calls Morin to act, perfectly timing their awaited counterattack at last. Morin hurls his heavy axe with gusto and laughs, exclaiming, "Okay," relishing the true beginning. He tells Harrier to charge and uses his powerful swing to catapult Harrier forward at blazing speed. Harrier rockets ahead, fueled by determination as he streaks toward S in just an instant. This is their ultimate move, but S only smirks, sharp teeth bared and wild with ferocious glee. S was luring them all along. Harrier realizes too late, blurting an oops as the snare snaps shut. S still has not exhausted his breath or mana, poised to deliver a decisive strike to Harrier. He calls on Wolf Hunt howling, releasing a huge red wolf spirit that barrels down on Harrier. The attack hurls Harrier back, blood scattering on the snow. He appears gravely wounded and near death. A scene surfaces, young Morin, forever captivated by stories of warriors from the northern lands. She ponders her unclear memories as she and young Harrier once joyfully sang of northern heroes. As Sand stands over the fallen Harrier, it's a bittersweet memory. He rebukes Harrier's pride. He warns Harrier against racing ahead and pins him with his blade to a pillar, it seems the end draws close. Mid frigid peaks shrouded in magical mist, the skeleton master and Frey's clash has scarred the land. An immense burst sends permafrost flying high, a blast of energy shatters ice and scatters earth. This is more disaster than duel. The fighters zip over the slopes as streaks of red and gray. Describing a deadly tag game, Frey's giant sword carves the air, nearly cleaving mountains. Master is unfazed. They clash up close in a flurry, swords crashing and sparking in their furious exchange. Frey's twisted smile spreads as Master Skeleton blocks her attack, making the earth buckle beneath her. They hurtle at each other once again, their speed blurring half the panel with motion streaks. Giggling, Frey darts wildly, frantic eyes locked on her foe. Her storm has barely begun. Master Skeleton answers with a fast slash from her sleek purple dagger. Searching for an opening, she braces. Frey's feet grip earth, her energy flaring for a spiral assault. The ground warps from the strain. Master Skeleton, caught unaware, senses tremendous energy and freezes. Towering white beam, axis of the earth, rips up in a move called Horizon Breaker. More than a strike, it changes the land. Master Skeleton is barely at the edge, power cracking her ribs. She soars backward, her scream breaking out as she falls chaotically through the sky. Even a famed veteran flinches. Master Skeleton rises with a sigh, dusting off, a smoky haze lingering. Frey lounges atop a fallen knight, mocking whether the master deliberately withstood that blow. Master Skeleton coldly stands firm. Frey teases, with real comrades dodging made more sense. Frey finds caring for others laughable, her wicked smile showing her callous nature. Master Skeleton accuses, saying those words come easy when your comrade is harmed beneath you. Bafflement briefly flickers on Frey's face. She'd forgotten she stood upon her own fighter. She glances down with apathy at the fallen knight spread beneath her boots. Putting all her weight down, Frey says the knight's dead already, calling it mere flesh, utterly heartless. After a pause, Master Skeleton points out something odd about Frey's fighting habits. He observes Frey consciously switches hands, never striking with both together. She notes every time a fist is thrown, a sword is retracted. It's as if something halts her rhythm. Master Skeleton, by observing her moves, deduces Frey's extensive combat and tactical expertise. She notes how Frey manages the battlefield while retreating, displays of tactical skill and cunning. Her gaze, sharp and aglow, presumes old, habitual instinct means Frey's origins lie with rogues. Deadpan Master Skeleton notes Frey is smarter than her look suggests, delivering a sly compliment. Frey merely chuckles, calling it amusing, sharp enough to see the master's glances toward her students. She darts through the air, sparks of crimson energy alive, questioning if the master is a knight captain beyond weaklings. An enormous wave of power erupts afar as their wild chase carves new scars in the snowy land. Frey is suddenly almost touching Master Skeleton's face, her diabolical eyes filling the space. Frey asks if she wishes to keep looking away, and as they clash, snow erupts. Frey's chaotic might starts eclipsing the master's accomplished skills. Imprints trail up the mountainside beneath Frey's wild laughter, which echoes through the frozen valley. From above, Frey jeers, wondering what tactic comes next or what clever escape awaits. She thinks her quarry is trapped, but Master Skeleton unexpectedly lands a hard kick that stuns her. Blood spurts from Frey's wounded leg at the brutal contact, etching pain even on a valiant fighter. Master Skeleton lands nimbly, daggers poised and unwavering, allowing no moment for recovery. Their quick duel explodes in streaks of silver and crimson, scattering and melting the winter all around. Frey stands and wipes her mouth, bewildered and calling her opponent reckless for countering despite her injured leg. Gazing at her blade, Master Skeleton ponders possible but shallow attacks discovered during their duel. Longing for her true sword, she hesitates as Frey sneers and calls out sloppy moves. Frey swaggers with her heavy blade resting on her shoulder, teasing if heroics and swordplay are too much. She jeers further, asking why she carves through others so easily but stumbles when facing her. Suddenly Morin is swept into an explosion, and a distant cry from Harrier rings out. The master's focus breaks. Frey pounces with a gleaming mad smile, taunting her for another lapse and exploiting that brief moment. Frey's punch slams deep into the master's ribcage, the jarring crunch echoing on the field. Master Skeleton crashes hard into the snow, clearly struck down by a warrior of daunting rank. Tremendous eruption of snow signals where she crashed. Frey destroys any hope of burial. Ruined at the heart of the crater, Master Skeleton trembles as Frey accuses her of cruelty. Frey gestures at carnage below, emphasizing that the master overlooks the fates of countless fallen. Leaning near, Frey's empty scarlet eyes bore into her, condemning her for ignoring anyone but a chosen follower. Close-up reveals the master's empty sockets locked on Frey, registering her harsh reasoning. Dark thoughts swirl within. She privately admits it's the one sentiment of Frey's she truly comprehends. She drifts through darkness ringed by gleaming eyes, called utterly unfeeling for ignoring them. She glimpses fallen soldiers in her path as a voice wonders why she could not protect them. Guilt churns, purple eyes in the shadows assure her to let go. It's not hers to bear, look away. She witnesses ghostly soldiers clashing, hearing how their own desires breed endless violence. From the shadows, a bony hand emerges, suggesting she let everything go and surrender. Temptation ambition to turn monstrous grows. Master Skeleton stands as shadows loom. A voice speaks of a sword raised for good but now wielded against the world. In an instant, a memory of her student pierces the gloom, shattering the isolation. The hero responds with surprise. A flashback appears, Master Skeleton with the hero, courtyard empty. The silent yard contrasts with war's chaos. Master listens, lost in childhood memories. Her youthful student smiles and asks if she regrets the war that began in her hometown. She brushes away all guilt and laughs, reasoning it's not her fault they were invaded. They are mere villains. She laughs brightly, urging her to move on and simply fight to defend, not apologize. Quiet and amazed by the hero's simple faith, she's reminded softly of her northern warrior roots. With her trademark silly grin, she sums it up: Northern will just marches into war without fear. Close on her lips as she speaks the single word destined to change everything. Back in reality, Master Skeleton's gaze ignites. She recalls, so stop blaming yourself. Her resolve awakened, she surges ahead with her glowing demon blade and no more evasions. Now she's confronting Frey, twin daggers ready, claiming the title of Northern Champion too. The past won't bind her. Through the swirling snow, she stands unwavering even if comrades fall. A broad view reveals skies clearing. Her steps carry the hopes and legacy of her fallen forward. She claims the ground. North's determination flows through her, shifting her from herald to hero. She lives as their home spirit, a vision of old heroes at her back, reminding her of Unity's strength. They pursue those legendary echoes together. The cycle returns to the lone girl who began it all. Frey tumbles from above, blade raised, declaring with disdain that she's finished with her musings. Her crash comes with a mighty blast, intent on smashing the Master's will with brute strength. Close view captures Master Skeleton's bandaged hands gripping her weapons, radiating fierce intent. The duel resumes as swift figures clash midair, spiraling down toward the snowy hillside below. Frey's eyes widen in shock when blood spurts. Master Skeleton's attack lands mid-arc. Master Skeleton wields her blade, now separated into two. She split it to shift her tactics. Spotting the broken blade, Frey's realization dawns as Master asks why the rhythm keeps shattering. Surging forward in a pink whirlwind, Master states, this reveals the answer. She attacks with both blades in an unknown technique, blazing white light filling the scene. Tack munting bore crushing slash. Frey is hurled backwards by the overwhelming force. Spinning through the sky, Frey cries out. Master Skeleton proves herself the mountain's ruler. Cackling through pain, Frey taunts her. One more sword isn't enough to claim victory, she says. Massive purple cross of energy unfurls across the ground below Frey. Master Skeleton prepares her final move. Blurs of rapid movement precede the decisive attack. She moves so fast she seems to shift between places, striking from all directions at once. Pink energy lines trace her path, erasing all defense, a perfect and shattering assault. Frey, panicked, struggles to keep up. In shadow, S observes with narrowed eyes, calling her weak. S stares coldly at the brawl, his outline dark against snow. He dubs Frey a naive war knight untouched by death. Close-up of S's red eye, branding her proud yet unfortunate. He's unmoved by Frey's actions. Leaping with a defiant roar, Frey commands, don't underestimate me. In one reckless burst, Frey attacks, while Master Skeleton reels from the abrupt shift in power. Descending fiercely, Frey's aura twists into a monstrous arc. S remarks on its peril. Master Skeleton releases her supreme move, Heaven Axis, earth-splitting strike engulfing all. Her arm blazing with violet mana, she demands recollection, drawing deeply on legendary might. Her skeletal arm strains, forging through old bones, the power once wielded by heroes. A hero's image flashes before her eyes. She yearns to emulate that legend from distant days. She channels the strength of one who long ago felled even the Demon King. A menacing power erupts around her, leaving a searing white emptiness where the blast struck. Stunned soldiers freeze in place, gazing at the monstrous explosion from the mountain's crest. Distant panorama reveals the vastness of the destruction from the blast site. A huge chunk of mountain has vanished. Master Skeleton remains upright, dust swirling from his annihilation quake. This round is done. Through fading smoke of the final attack, triumph has turned into sorrow on the summit. Harrier supports a bleeding, his shaky voice whispering soothing reassurances in vain. Focus tightens on Harrier's gaze, light dimming as he senses how dire the situation truly is. Even as he clings to denial, Morin suffers critical wounds, weakly grunting on the verge of collapse. With red hands, Harrier desperately tries mending him, but blood pours with organs badly damaged. This is no minor injury. Harrier in anguish begs Morin to stay quiet while blood slips through his fingers. He cries to the heavens, damn it, swept away by the horrid unfairness now crushing his hope. A shadow extends as S approaches, while Harrier weeps on his knees, imploring not to leave. S's step cracks the snow. With cold disdain he mocks Harrier for weeping during battle. Like death embodied, S towers over them, muttering with scorn about Harrier's fragility. S icily announces this is the end as Harrier looks up through tears, lost and shocked. Suddenly rage burns in Harrier's eyes. He declares to S through gritted teeth that he will destroy him. With nothing to lose, Harrier's threat angers S, who finds it outrageous coming from one he deems beneath him. Harrier struggles to stand, but his frailty leaves him scarcely able to rise. S lurks poised to strike when suddenly he senses an arrival and turns, alerted by a familiar presence. Harrier's face, slick with Moron's blood, possesses a wild fury, vengeance sparking in his gaze. S kicks brutally, sneering that such savages lack any understanding of real justice. He revels in imperial arrogance, preparing to bring down his blade in a mighty finishing strike. All seems lost for the rookie until a sudden rush interrupts, shielding him just in time. The blow blasts away snow for meters, a shock wave radiating outward. The land trembles under the strike. Through parted smoke, S stares shocked as a known voice questions the barbarians. A bony hand nonchalantly holds S's massive sword as she questions, "Are you barbarians?" "Master Skeleton has returned," she states, quipping he must be a monkey, truly a grand entrance. Harrier raises his head, voice breaking as his master returns. The awaited rescue arrives, displeased. Master Skeleton blasts violet energy, shoving S back, the gulf between a legend and general dramatically clear. S fumes in the shade, crimson eyes burning, bellowing for the skeleton, the rematch at last. Master Skeleton ignores S and advises Harrier to calm down and steady himself. She takes command of the battle, promising to buy time. A stoic guardian of bone now shields her apprentice. Her weapon aglow with violet stance flawless, she directs S to control his temper. S lets out a mocking sound as he senses the master's momentary distraction. S mocks that despite losing a comrade, she's cold as ever, his face bloody, full of pride. Assuming he's found an opening, S jeers if she's a traitor, but the master meets it with silent defiance. Memories return of the past battle. The master recalls Frey's question about pitying dying enemy soldiers. She admits those soldiers too have families and loved ones waiting for them somewhere. She confesses that guilt weighed on her, if only a little. Heart if only a shows little sympathy, but she must act, else her comrades perish, duty above sentiment. Master Skeleton remains ever practical, as S taunts her for focusing solely on her subordinate. He continues his mind games, determined to shatter her resolve. As rivals prepare for war, S sneers and questions if she's truly heartless. A tight shot of S's determined face shows his thirst to destroy his foe, the Necromancer. Master Skeleton is just as prepared, a thick tension of violence buzzing between them. Her skeletal fist tightens as violet fire swirls wildly in her burning eyes. She speaks, "Yes, that is war," launching them both into a dazzling eruption of light. She declares war is cruel as S storms in, vowing destruction to foes and defense for his friends. Master Skeleton blocks with effortlessness, her presence shifting to a fearsome, darkened violet. She proclaims her resolve is unwavering as Harrier, shattered, cradles Morin's motionless form. Master Skeleton's bony hand extends. She urges Harrier to make his choice as well. She insists that he mature right now as violet fireballs blaze, spectral forces joining the battle. Blood streaks Morin's ashen face, hair matted and frail. He's dwarfed by this chaos. Harrier chokes out Morin's name in grief, his voice raw with emotion. He is wholly unprepared, chaos raging as the fight intensifies and the master demands a medic. With a trembling hand, Morin gently touches Harrier, insisting he should not worry. He urges Harrier to assist Skeleton, thinking only of the mission till his very last moments. One last time he lets his fingers reach for Harrier's, seeking comfort with trembling hope. Harrier's grief becomes fierce resolve as he squeezes his fist, knuckles pale with pain. He lifts himself and moves away, stepping into the ongoing war tearing at the horizon. Murin's breath rattles, he coughs blood as his eyelids gently close in exhaustion. Harrier stands proud in the snow, knowing Murin trusted him with tomorrow's dream and hope. Harrier embraces his warrior's resolve as Myron's thoughts plead for their shared dream's safekeeping. His hand slips away to rest forever in the snow, a final farewell echoes Geo. The name lingers like an order. Harrier lowers his gaze, pain sinking deep into his heart. Has departed, leaving sorrow and blood behind among the biting northern drifts. With shield and daggers in hand, Harrier kneels. Gone is the fleeing boy he once was. Now he's chief of the White Lion Tail, as Master Skeleton charges her next attack with purple light. She unleashes the frosty grand brawl. Ice spikes imprison Imperials in true northern hunting style. Through fractured ice, S howls with laughter, claiming Skeleton's special moves have faded. S's might overwhelms the master, who is taunted about her fears for the youngster's strength. With a roar, S launches a lethal kick at the master's head. Impact shatters the silence. Harrier intercepts, shielding the master, declaring firmly, Harrier's spirit will never shatter. S looks on, wide-eyed, branding Harrier's sudden courage as reckless foolishness. He swings another kick, arguing that empty encouragement crushes others in the end. He seems to dampen every mood. Master Skeleton retorts to S's words while Harrier insists her motivation isn't unfounded hope. This is what hope means. Master Skeleton now stands beside her apprentice. They rush Soma together, symbolizing unity across northern generations. Pushing herself to new extremes, Master Skeleton wonders if pain from fighting Frey is surfacing. S swings his enormous sword, intent on toppling them at once. His wild, red eye believes victory's near. Blood flies as S's sword hits home, but a selfless act delivers a chance. Someone steps up. That person is Harrier. He catches the blade with his hand, bleeding profusely to restrain S. Ignoring his hurt, Harrier tackles S into the snow, clinging fiercely in sacrifice. Bleeding and out of breath, Harrier turns to his mentor and quietly thanks her for the extra moments. Focused and intense, Harrier gives a steady gaze, thanks to her he's regained his composure. Harrier is fully determined, plunging a blade deep into S's chest, metal cleaving flesh with thunderous sound. S is left speechless by pain and astonishment. He can't accept a youngster inflicting this fatal strike. S, bleeding gravely, clutches Harrier's face in desperation. He insults Harrier as a vile brat. Both wounded, they wrestle in the snow, battling for life. Behind Harrier, a ghostly wolf emerges, strengthening the storm of his fury. Harrier vows to turn the tables and end Soma. Master Skeleton anxiously calls out to him. Harrier's mind is filled with tributes. "I have apologies I still owe you," he internally confesses. He remembers hurtling from the mountain, always guided by whose energy led the way. Training flashes back how never left, even as Harrier neared quitting. He confesses he's forever indebted, grateful yet remorseful, finally being honest with those memories. Shockwave bursts forth from their conflict, causing the mountain's summit to tremble. The echo of Harrier's apology resonates throughout the valleys as the storm clears. Despite the dagger, S drives Harrier back, remarkably standing firm. S jeers, throwing out Moron's name for spite. They clash again, impact shaking the snow. With sinew stretched to the limit, Harrier's golden eye erupts in wild, primal brilliance. He charges one last time, both meeting close, their eyes locked in a deadly final standoff. Again he must apologize. Their final clash erupts, air shattering from their desperate strength. Searing white blast engulfs the mountains, blanketing all in brilliant oblivion. Scarlet drops fall slowly, staining the pure undisturbed blanket of snow below. 'Tis ended, they stand eye to eye, frozen. S is struck by utter bewilderment. Harrier grips S's arm tightly, S's blade impaled in his shoulder, a close view of entwined hands. Harrier holds on with iron will as S chokes on blood, realizing he's been ensnared. S gazes at the youth who bested him, meeting the undeniable face of his own failure. Panic sweeps S, who yells for release, finally knowing he spirals into ruin with a madman. Looking up, bloodied, Harrier calls out for as S bares his teeth with a final wild snarl. With all his soul, Harrier unleashes a scream that echoes through everything. His roar resounds over the peaks, the purest cry from a white lion claiming its voice. Harrier plunges his dagger deeper in S's chest, crimson arcing in the snowy cold. S's final breath escapes in a quiet grunt as his power drifts away completely. S is cast back, skimming like a stone across the ice-crusted surface. It's finished. Master Skeleton gazes at everything, overcome with disbelief. Even she's surprised by Harrier's ferocity. S kneels battered while she cries out as he slumps. Still upright but torn, Harrier looks like death revived, having sacrificed everything to prevail. S makes one last attempt to rise, his features twisted by pure burning loathing. Suddenly, amethyst energy lances through S from the rear without warning. Master Skeleton steps in, ending it. S's face wears utter devastation. He's lost it all, nothing remains. He shouts, "Enough, Skeleton!" and dying, Master Skeleton points urgently toward the summit. She cares nothing for Soma now and signals Harrier. It's the beginning of the endgame. Snow and energy build, a monumental avalanche beginning its thunderous tremor. With the finale underway, recall the council. The mountain's entry is through a tight corridor. Their plot from the outset, draw in the Imperial foe, then send down a crushing avalanche. They intended a hasty retreat along their escape route, letting snow bury their enemies. A savage but fitting maneuver in war, Master Skeleton calls her warriors to flee and rescue the tribes. Imperial knights freeze in horror while the mountain's wrath begins to rain from above. The first flood of snow crashes below, unfurling devastation like a mighty bomb. Tsar grasps the dark revelation. As snow sweeps closer, they had been baited all along. Harrier observes the chaos from above, watching the downfall unfold beneath his gaze. He intones, "This is the end." S's eye, full of dread, vanishes in a wash of white. Harrier readies his last attack, set to forever lock the fate of the ravaged valley. It mirrors a northern hunting trick, a fleeting vision of Moron with flowers radiantly content. Harrier unleashes a fiery dance, igniting the snow to further consume the battlefield. Fire and snow engulf everything, creating a scene of utter annihilation and desolation. Staring into the wreckage he caused, Harrier's chin drips someone else's blood. He's victorious but at a terrible price. A bouquet lies in snow as Harrier silently bids Moron farewell. Alone amidst the endless white, Harrier himself now mirrors the visage of a specter. Suddenly, voices intrude. The silence is broken by a question about the master's cries. Smoke and snow lift gradually, bearing the battlefield left by the thunderous avalanche. Master Skeleton's urgent shouts echo through the void, desperately seeking Harrier. Panic fills her gaze. As Harrier faces her, his eye beams with eerie golden brilliance as wind sweeps by. At last, the Imperial forces have been utterly wiped from existence. Master Skeleton shifts to the far distance, sensing something anew. A hand lifts a glowing orb. Someone wonders aloud why their forces began advancing only at this moment. A stranger steps into the conflict. With snow now still, the Empire's 1,000 troops stumbled into their own ruin. Of 600 vanguards with S and Frey, none withstood the spectral storm. Elite weapons held no sway here. 400 men waited for a chance but found only a swift route to eternal rest. Northern defense destroyed their foes. Red Silk stands by, unimpressed, and scorns the war's folly, believing winter deserves their attention, not fighting. He asks his allies' opinion, but they're busy looking sharp, and he grumbles the invaders' ways elude him. It's humiliating, the Empire's 400 elite defeated by 2 chieftains, years of training only to perish namelessly. The chieftain leaves unhurried, labeling the mighty Imperials as rabble, showing no respect. A brilliant flash signals the field has been cleaned. Northern victory is now a message of defiance. The tribesmen cheer their triumph, pulling comrades from the snow stained by battle. They shielded their land at steep cost, drums thunder across the peaks, warning all that the North only welcomes brave souls, never invaders. Master Skeleton walks over white drifts, her glowing boots bright, calmly weighing all that's transpired. She observes as her ghostly legion fades back into nothing, their task in the world now over. Hajita gazes at his vanished brothers, expression steeped in wonder and sorrow, grasping the miracle. Close on Master Skeleton's empty eyes reveals the heft of centuries spent within warfare. She senses each farewell's difficulty, the pink energy twirls about warriors while spirits find rest. It's a chilling yet comforting hush as abandoned armor tumbles down and ghosts return, finally to sleep. Master Skeleton shares her typical art just animates flesh. She admits her craft revives no true soul. Usually her risen lack memories, yet the North's champions defy this, uniquely retaining their essence. They returned by will alone. These warriors were alive, not puppets, shining as brightly as once did. Master Skeleton feels true thankfulness for their sacrifice, insisting deep respect must be given the honored dead. Chieftain Red Silk, sturdy as the mountain, greets her, set to decide the manner of burial rites. He urges her to stop should she intend on disturbing the resting fallen. Northern rites are rougher, he says, leaving their slain in place marks the utmost warrior reverence. Across the snow, Harrier kneels broken but alive. A northern warrior checks on him as grief runs deep. A village vista reveals the chilling truth. They endure, battle, and perish in this frozen, merciless land. Master Skeleton, chin low in her cloak, quietly considers the chieftain's advice. She absorbs the northern creed. Atop a cliff, she admits in a whisper his words ring true, honoring their harsh but proud customs. Red Silk strides to Harrier, his boots breaking the crimson-splashed snow, sensing the boy's grief, fully aware of its sting. Harrier manages a feeble yes as he recognizes his chief's presence, feeling the loss of both friend and youth. The chieftain thanks Harrier for his courage at the front, facing the Empire's might. He praises Harrier's success and with honest regret apologizes for ever doubting his strength, finally giving long-awaited validation. He then asks Harrier what is left for him after the battlefield has claimed so much from his life. This is his ultimate trial. Gazing at his marked hand, Harrier now bears Moron's entire dream, gaining something deeper than his loss. He squeezes his fist with a trembling intensity, admitting its unbearable weight as he embraces the role of protector. As the warriors return to the village, the battle ends, yet rebellion's spirit starts simmering powerfully within them. Suddenly, the village is alight with fireworks, a dramatic shift from earlier heartbreak to vibrant celebration. Tribesmen drink boisterously, swapping tales of Vector and his courage, turning battle agony into stories of valor. Harrier sits back in the tavern, feeling distant while others revel for the fallen as if in a festival. He confesses how he longed for these festive vigils, as the northern way shuns silent grief. Here the dead are honored with joyous noise, unlike the southerners who grieve quietly for all lost to death's shadow. Master Skeleton takes a seat beside him, her silent visage unexpectedly warm and kind. She inquires if Harrier knows the meaning behind their grand farewells, explaining warriors must not drown in sorrow when saying goodbye. She reminds him that is why Murren want your smile, not tears, providing her unique, profound comfort. The silence weighs heavily. Harrier takes her words deeply to heart despite raw, stinging loss. He understands that giving in to sorrow would betray Morin's legacy entirely. He thinks Morin might scold him for weakness, agreeing Murren would disapprove, letting grief become strength. He envisions not only Murin but many ancestors watching over, each having shaped his journey. His mentors would be furious should he allow anguish or anger to rule him, unstoppable and wild. With new purpose lighting his face, he rises, shouldering their legacy with solemn pride. Master Skeleton rests her bony hand near him, softly apologizing for failing to keep watch on Murin, sharing in that pain. Harrier glances at the revelers, grasping that his real fear was losing himself to it all. Master's quiet presence reassures him, advising that their true selves must endure, with her being unusually insightful about remaining whole. Their forward journey continues, motivated by those guardians watching from beyond the veil. Master Skeleton sips a drink, her bony shape glowing in the tavern, an icon to even departed dreamers. She opts for a dangerous path of heroism, shunning the simpler fate meant for revenants. This skeleton embodies heroics and tells Harrier, smile, for it's how Morin would have wished it. With a faint and worn-out grin, Harrier signals his return to the fray. He takes a seat, realizing that satisfying his hunger is his immediate priority. Master Skeleton leaves for some solitary thoughts, and Harrier silently observes her distant silhouette. He now truly understands the heavy burdens on those fragile bones. Legendary status brings isolation. Master Skeleton's fate wavers, she could return to her old wickedness at any sudden moment. On those narrow shoulders, Harrier sees all the hopes given and those forced onto her. It's overwhelming. Harrier's resolve flares, he'll no longer follow meekly but become the steadfast ally his master needs. 2 days fly by and the momentous tribal council now commences. Northern leaders arrive for the council. Chieftain Redsake says absent tribes missed legends enduring. Dougal Rixar of the Dawn Sky Tiger tribe makes an entrance, clad in fearsome, myth-spun armor. Rixar's intense stare intimidates. He has an aura of danger that needs no words. Harrier is starstruck seeing a renowned tribe from legend in the flesh, their might overwhelming. Rixar's lineage reaches far back, with warriors who rarely take up arms except for grand causes. The tribe's shaman joins, bringing a relic to hand off to the master and journeying far for this event. Touching Master Skeleton's hand, the spirit inside her instantly stirs, a meeting of kindred power. Eerie magic tinges the air. A violet charm appears and the shaman says she'll need it someday. Like an inside joke, the shaman invokes her ancestor and Master Skeleton answers only with a blink. Weighty silence falls. The shaman asks what history led Master Skeleton towards such a fate. She reads beyond the bones, glimpsing the woman beneath, while Red Silk, bewildered, asks what's happening. He clearly knows little of the past. Unlike Harrier, the shaman chortles and chooses silence for now. Declaring full support, the Dawn Sky Tiger tribe salutes Edward Benira, not just the Bonewalker. They know her identity. Red Silk confirms the main forces, Dawn, Sky Tiger, Red Sheep and White Lion main join in. With that, the Northern Alliance stands. The Master explores unfinished matters at the room's rear. Now it's about the prisoners. Frey appears, the wild red-haired knight bound with a ball and chain. Even restrained, Frey grins wildly while Master Skeleton gives her a soulless, unreadable stare. Frey greets her with unexpected ease, especially for a captive, and asks to join the battle as well. Wishing to trade allegiances, Frey sows pure disorder, leaving everyone stunned by her offer amid high mountains halls. Master Skeleton ponders, curious about Frey's actual motives, since she doubts Frey would let herself be captured by accident. Frey appears truly deranged, grinning and claiming he only let himself be caught to side with the Master. Refusing to believe it, Harrier shouts to the assembly that trusting Frey guarantees disaster for them all. He reminds the group that Frey is a bona fide war criminal and at the heart of their predicament. Frey seems totally unfazed, as Harrier details Frey's dreadful pastime of fostering then destroying colonial realms. A true menace more than a knight, Frey chuckles, dismissing old conquests as weak. Master calls him mad. Master Skeleton interrupts and meets chaos with reason. Why would he ever aid a haphazard rebellion? Frey sits unbothered, chained, and simply claims war itself motivates him, reinforcing his reputation. He sneers at the Master's allies, mocking them as an undead few and some northern creatures. Clearly seeing their weaknesses, Frey observes the Empire could simply conscript its people to build an immense force. With the odds against them, Tiger Chieftain Rixar wonders why someone aware of this would choose their side. Lit with a wicked red glow, Frey explains he'd rather fight for excitement. The Master's side is simply more fun. He says war is dull when power's unbalanced, seeking worthy friction to thrill his tempestuous spirit. For Frey, battle is a tempest of released spirits, as he describes carnage like a deep ritual. That deranged grin reflects how he envisions war as an epic, bloody masterpiece in a grand hall. Hope is lost for this man. Harrier pleads for others to recognize Frey as dangerously unhinged. Anxious to keep Frey from their cause, Harrier protests as Master Skeleton, unnervingly calm, readies herself to decide Frey's fate. Frey leaps with energy despite his binds, while Master warns he'll be used as a mercenary from now on. Striking the table, Red Silk voices his protest, insisting the crucial captive cannot be released so easily. Not yet. Master Skeleton taps her skull, saying she's dealt with fierce war maniacs like Frey, and insists such people don't really care for war's real reasons. She tells Harrier his anger justified, but to stay clear-headed, she seeks only a tactical edge, not absolution. Clenching her bony hand, Master Skeleton coldly warns war is no glorious legend or fable. It's grim survival, not valor, and Harrier, smeared with battle and sorrow, sees the Master is ready to use monsters to fight monsters. Master Skeleton questions if it troubles Harrier to hire those infamous for their bloodshed. She's attacking Harrier's beliefs, and Rixar agrees that usefulness trumps morality in the North and such a night is too rare an opportunity. Master Skeleton declares her intentions plainly: protect friends and destroy the Empire. She vows to pay any price, proclaiming she'd even use demonic might if she must, a true hero's resolve. She urges Harrier to learn this lesson for future leadership. Letting emotion cloud vision weakens any leader. Commanding and proud, the Master fulfills the role of chief, setting expectations Harrier struggles to reach. Humbled, Harrier lowers his head and confesses that his actions were foolish. He chooses to trust his Master's wisdom over his wrath, as Frey laughs, calling her a battle-scarred veteran, which she answers with a hint of her lengthy past. A shadow of her old self appears, a battle-hardened general marked by a lifetime at war's front. Red Silk and the others still dread Frey's betrayal, fearing his first chance might doom them all. They seek a way to control this wild wild force, the sheep chieftain requests assurances someone can subdue Frey if needed. Master Skeleton lifts a hand, recalling guidance from ancient wisdom. With a plan in mind, she mutters to Frey and the madman stops laughing. Master Skeleton may have found what controls him. Frey stares wide-eyed, startled at her words, clearly rattled for the first time. Red Silk sighs, suggesting a break, as the tense meeting has exhausted everyone with these heavy decisions. As the group drifts away, the chieftain reassures the master he'll understand her plan at the right moment. The mansion quiets, guards escort Frey to the underground cells beneath vigilant watch. No one's relaxed yet. Master Skeleton gazes out at the snowy land, forever restless, alone among the living though commanding them as a spectral leader. A pale woman watches her, wondering if she spoke her mind. Old Banson gruffly tells her to quit with idle remarks. He remains steadfast and irritable, inquiring about Harrier while using the child's old nickname. The shaman notes that Harrier recently gave up the shield for sword training at the table. The tribe marks the shift in style as momentous. Pipe in hand, the woman grins, saying he follows his father's path more than hers. Banson wonders if this is Harrier's mother as he beholds the ancient weapon, his gaze filled with honor. The shaman confirms her husband wielded that sword, and thinks Harrier echoed her style only to imitate. She laments never sharing deeper tales of their family's true past with her child. She is troubled by her unspoken words, recalling Harrier and Morin joyfully running inside the mansion. Life seemed gentler then. Now the shaman gazes out the frosty glass, wondering about her son and tribe's fate. The mansion endures winter's wrath, a hopeful refuge while chaos threatens the world outside. Morin's resting place is attended with vibrant blossoms, his memory cherished by those still living. Harrier roams the woods, musing on his master, amazed at the tireless skeleton who's always ready. Measuring himself against that legend, Harrier still feels the sting of self-doubt. Despite victories, he recollects his temper at the council, irritated that emotions led him astray. Longing for the master's discipline, Harrier surveys the valley and reflects on the dream Morin gave. Determined to fulfill that vision, he feels unworthy of the northern name if he accepts anything less. Bracing himself, he makes a bold vow to rise as the northern mountain tribe's unified chieftain. It's a daring goal, yet he sets his resolve, wishing to merit the title Hawker before the conflict ends. Once more, Harrier kneels by the grave, asking Morin to be patient for his promise's return. He forges ahead into peril when someone addresses him by a title he hasn't heard for years. Lady Harrier. Harrier swivels, his demeanor steeled, a transformed figure from the fleeing guild member. It is Banson, the faithful old butler, who has at last reached the child of his master. Harrier's surprise turns to comfort. Banson hands him a bundled relic from the chieftain, sent with care. Realizing it's his father's blade, Harrier recognizes the famed swordsman's heavy legacy entrusted to him. Grasping the sword, Harrier senses its weight and feels his true self finally come together. Banson believes Harrier would now succeed at the Great Hunt, glimpsing a true leader in his gaze. He foresees Harrier's name upheld in legend, as one of the North's notable warriors. Banson affirms this prophecy as deserved, noting Harrier's coming journey with his skeletal teacher. The true journey begins. He says Harrier will gain more from travel than from staying home forever. Banson, playful, flashes a V sign and urges Harrier to go while the hunt can wait. Their patience unmatched. Harrier, moved by this faith, thanks his friend and lets go of his old bonds. He asks Banson to handle the estate, only to hear a teasing reminder to trust the experts. Harrier wonders where the master has gone, now ready to receive his coming orders. He recalls how the master mentioned a gathering to plan their next voyage's location. The pace quickens in the hall. Red Silk massages his temples, feeling the action unfold fast. Things shift unexpectedly, and he points out they need a navy for a proper invasion. Just then, massive and bold purple men arrive, boisterously declaring their navy intent. The muscly-bound sailors pose proudly, while Master Skeleton stands lost and perplexed by it all. Red Silk presents them as the steadfast people of the deep blue sea. Unique to the north, known as sea ghosts, they are seasoned and never yield on northern tides. One burly sailor envelops Master Skeleton in a cheerful hug, too lively for a covert circle. He offers to take her anywhere, proposing his daughter stir their ship's journey as well. Their spirit is rare. He's elated the sea tribe will soon cross into open waters once again. Considerations for the trip swirl as Master Skeleton seems at her wits' end with it all. She says regretfully she'll go by land, crushing the sailor's joy as Red Silk laughs and she explains her plans stop. Rixar reflects, acknowledging the next war phase is clear with a new course mapped out. Their strategy fixed, Harrier shares with Banson they're heading toward the birthplace of the Master's sword. He notes that formerly this street had no name, yet it is renowned in modern times. Their last stop is the Street of Artisans, leaving behind monsters and snow for a world of flame and metal. The episode closes at Red Lamp Village, chieftains promising unity and wisdom for the coming times. Red Silk and Master Skeleton exchange one last respectful wish for peace, despite war plans ahead. As they go, Red Silk halts Harrier with a shout, prompting a confused pause and backward glance. The chieftain, less a teacher than a caring elder now, shares final words of wisdom with Harrier. He reveals that although the master hails from myth, her core is still entirely human, beneath her bony exterior is a person longing for some kind of support. We catch sight of her inner turmoil, how she rages at the loss of her student and becomes a force of vengeance. She bears unbelievable emotional weight. Redsil notes legends like her can't share true feelings with others, trapped by their heroic roles. Harrier bows his head, struck by his master's solitude, as Red Silk says heroes persevere without losing themselves. Master Skeleton stands tiny beneath a star-filled sky, the endless isolation of heroism plain to see. A hand tightly grasps a sword hilt. This shot reflects the great burden Master has carried for so long. Red Silk reminds Harrier that her first friends have died, so now only those still true may remain at her side. Harrier gives a resolute response, showing he has grown past the simple role of apprentice. Now he's his master's emotional anchor. A striking title card catches their tranquil moment, symbolizing Morin's deepest hope. That title strikes powerfully each time. Meanwhile, Frey, muzzled and red-haired, is entertained by all this hero talk. As they push on through the woods, Frey shuffles in restraints and claims she's simply sliding, like playing a child's game while captured. Master Skeleton orders her to quit whining, rebuking Frey's discomfort since she managed fine for days before. Frey wiggles, singing about upcoming battles, while Harrier wonders how this oddity became a top general. A shot of Harrier's eyes makes it clear he doubts the wisdom of bringing along such an unstable companion. Their trek is a wild adventure. They pass an ancient dinosaur immense among the forest shadows. Against the mysterious landscape, they appear a small yet brave party pressing ahead on their quest. Suddenly, a giant many-eyed violet snake creature descends, shattering any illusion of a safe stroll. They move deeper at night, threading through rugged peaks beneath the dazzling pattern of the stars. Ignoring the beasts offers some peace, but naturally another monster, a red-eyed bull, charges them next. Master Skeleton is likely exasperated. The night falls while they slog on, turning this into Harrier's lesson in resilience. For dinner, the master catches a rabbit and lifts it, half as a trophy, half in simple triumph. Around the fire, Frey remains wrapped in her odd cloak. She looks almost like a strange crimson snack. Harrier prepares camp as embers glow softly. Although it seems peaceful, the stillness hints at secrets about to be exposed. Abruptly, Frey grows serious, probing where the tale about their children was learned as she refers to the Imperial's sinister past. Staying unruffled, Master Skeleton sits by the fire and questions Frey about the source of her knowledge. Since she's confessed, the skeletal figure glances away, wondering why her question stirred now after such silence. Harrier collects water at the distant stream, leaving the elders alone for their somber and private conversation. Master Skeleton confesses she'd only heard tales from a friend and doubted whether they contained truth. She explains she'd gone to ask about her confrontation with S on the blood-stained field herself. The scene shifts to a snowy field covered with fallen warriors, echoing memories of violence. Palpable sense of looming revelation fills the air, with S's haunted shadow battered and forlorn before the end. The Lord staged accusations to attack enemies, while S's mother died by his father's plot disguised as poisoning. Imperial intrigues are nightmarish. Master Skeleton raises her blade at S, calling her student much the same. In the end, death was inevitable. S quietly accepts, believing in suffering while she cannot submit as easily. A close look catches S's bloodied, hollow face as he stares at his conqueror, utterly shattered. Master Skeleton towers above him, cloak whipping in the wind, their silence almost overwhelming in its weight. Realizing the end is near, S can only manage a weary, faint sound of resignation. Master Skeleton concedes that, at the beginning, his perspective eluded her understanding. Observing S's descent into madness over his disciple's death, she finally acknowledges their similarities. A brooding image of S emerges against dark thorns. It's clear he was simply broken, not ignorant. Ruined, S tells Master Skeleton she just needed a reason to exist here, masking loneliness with anger. He remarks that even as she no longer belongs, she longs for place among the living. Challenged, Master Skeleton loses patience and demands silence, upset by his ceaseless remarks. Turning away from the dying figure, she rejects his claims as outlandish nonsense. She instructs the Emperor's agent to hear her. Her silence should not be mistaken for calmness. Finished with courtesy, she warns letting him live for now doesn't mean his old crimes are forgiven. S inflicted on both of her emits a final student's, even as death approaches. S inflicted on both of her emits a final student's broken sound, coughing up blood that soaks the pristine snow beneath him. Despite impending death, S retains arrogant defiance, scoffing at the mention of two disciples. Believing Rixar fell too, S remembers Harrier's tattoos and swift judgment, finally granting him respect. He scoffs at the Northerners for risking their lives for friends, dubbing them tender apes. Golden eye glows with power. Soma ponders why Harrier became so much stronger. He thinks sorrow over Moron's death changed Harrier. a skeletal hand emerges from darkness. Master Skeleton peers down saying, "Everyone endures pain." Fireworks explode in victory while an execution plays out unnoticed, intensifying the drama. Master Skeleton grasps S's throat. She claims she's wounded but he remains unharmed. That sets them apart. Violet aura erupts as she declares letting him warn others was her error. He asserts that this time she'll end things for good. At the camp, Frey is shocked and asks if he actually told her everything so easily. Master Skeleton methodically carves a rabbit using a kitchen knife. She insists he was quite explanatory as Frey doubts he'd respond so cooperatively. Master Skeleton dangles a piece of bloody rabbit, challenging Frey's doubt while an image of her menacing interrogation flashes. He claims she merely requested nicely. The blade swiftly shears through meat with a sharp, clean sound. A memory of the blood-strewn field appears. I doubt being polite means what she thinks. Master Skeleton returns to cooking, unfazed by what just occurred. Her contrasting natures are chilling. As the pot simmers, Frey stares into the fire, questioning what transpired next. Dinner is presented. The Master Shadow looms as she carves. Frey clears her throat, making the tension nearly tangible. Master Skeleton asks what's amusing, and Frey answers that she's simply eager for dinner. Harrier hauls a huge water barrel and Frey thinks he must view the master as a hero. Her unsettling stare returns. Kill one and you're evil, kill thousands you're called heroic. Dark yet thoughtful, she says she's eagerly awaiting the moment Harrier learns this harsh truth, confident of his future downfall. Master Skeleton remains silent, and Bray promises to stand by and watch everything unfold. The master merely agrees as Harrier admires a falling star, oblivious to the shadowed discussion nearby. Sunlight spills into the lush valley. At last they escape the icy grasp of the mountains. Master Skeleton stomps down the path, declaring they've reached their destination. "Welcome to Lieway Station," she says. "Here they can refuel on supplies and decent food." Abruptly, Master Skeleton halts. Frey stands ahead, dressed entirely in a maid's attire. Frey complains about the costume's discomfort and wonders if she may change back. Master Skeleton notes the night already stands out and the clothes don't help, insisting the maid outfit stays for stealth. Master Skeleton shrouds herself deeper in her hood, whispering that they must stay inconspicuous and depart quickly. Harrier, troubled, asks if they're safe or if a quieter, sneakier entrance is better. Doubting their cover, he receives Master Skeleton's confident thumbs up. Her perfect ruse is simply a cloaked skeleton. She celebrates her disguise's brilliance, but within moments, they're surrounded by Imperial spearmen. There goes their disguise. Chaos brews as monster-sniffing dogs howl, shattering the calm. These yapping hounds aren't distracted by wildlife. The guards quickly encircle the strangers, declaring the stench of undead true. Master Skeleton stands defenseless, hands raised, mourning her last century of questionable choices. "You got caught." Before violence erupts, the elder guard Mangle steps up to defuse things. He instructs Panio he'll handle it. With an ally's gaze, he guides them away from the bristling crowd. Strolling through Rivulet, Mangle admits his familiarity, naming her the ghost of Spear Tower Village. Once himself an adventurer in the Northern Guild, Mangle makes it his business to follow such rumors. He recounts gossip of a skeleton-inspiring rebellion against the Empire, a tale now common knowledge. Explaining many come for Craftsman Street, he offers help, showing surprising eagerness for a guard. Master Skeleton respectfully thanks him for the support. Here, friendliness is refreshingly rare. Mangle, tending to duties, invites them to the tavern after sundown. Pointing downtown, Mangle directs them, and Master Skeleton notes without him their luck would be dire. Mangle simply shrugs them off. His veteran spirit reveals a man not easily troubled. The story glides into reflection on dreams of slaying dragons and reality's stinging disappointments. The group finds a theater where a bard's hopeful, bittersweet song rings for those who have surrendered hope. All the village guards gather here, nestled in the stone rows, basking in melodies together. This shared musical ritual is their respite. Mangle joins, his gloom deepening as he admits to Master Skeleton that the song echoes their limits and nature. The ballad tells young heroes who dreamed of dragons but ended up only wanting to guard their homes. So goes the tale of every soul drawn to safety over adventure. As music rings in the square, only songs remain to comfort worn warriors besides drink and smoke. Master Skeleton listens with her face in shadow, believing that giving up ideals ends true living. She tells Mangle, pursuing the same goal as the crowd will reduce anyone to a face among many. Mangle is struck by her wisdom, amazed a skeleton could speak with such heartfelt knowledge, as if shaped by sorrow. Master Skeleton rises to watch the sunset and quietly confirms, hinting that she is a living record of history. The master is ready to leave and proposes a trade, tips to Craftsman Street in exchange for a meal. She knows the art of a crafty bargain. With a breezy "see you," the crew prepares to depart while Harrier grumbles at the coming expense. Watching their departure, Mangle scritches his head, baffled. This odd group is unlike any he's met. As daylight fades to red, night stirs with unease and the once gentle day closes with unrest in the air. With the amphitheater hushed and empty, Mangle remains alone, steeped in lyrics and stalled purpose. Leaning on his staff, he finally prepares to leave, whispering dread for the return to his silent life. A voice calls, noting Mangle lingers long after the last notes fade. his startled twist betrays surprise. Pale and flustered, Mangle is at a loss, shocked as though faced with a true specter. It's the bard herself, hand outstretched, requesting his companionship as she walks home for the night. Fate throws our loner a twist as Mangle nervously escorts her, hoping his comrades do not catch sight. Astonished, Mangle can barely accept that someone of such fame would need help from an obscure guard. Unsure of himself, he's flustered by her assurance that he's known and respected far more than he guesses. She insists he shouldn't put himself down, calling him far superior to his jaded fellow guards. She lays on flattery, noting that unlike others hearing her music, Mangle's gaze still holds remnants of wonder. She spots in his eyes the passion of a hopeful hero still yearning to conquer dragons and save royalty, praising his purity. Halting, Mangle processes her words. His life crisis is seen as dreamlike instead of broken. Suddenly realizing he's not as lost as he thought, Mangle turns, astonished, to confirm what she's just said. He asks her to repeat herself because he's stunned. The bard teases, calling him boring, and she's delighted by his confusion. Her eyes glitter mischievously as twilight falls. She notes he was slow to catch on, her intent obvious. She seizes his hand, and the simple touch sends a shocking jolt of excitement through him. Mangle sweats heavily, looking utterly overwhelmed even as he tries and fails to keep calm. Hand in hand as pink hues fill the air, Mangle is suddenly struck by the dramatic reality. It's a date. As the scene turns to the bar's night exterior, the real story grows more tangled. At table, the skeleton master broods over her drink while her companions savor their first hearty meal in ages. It's a rare, relaxing night for the rebels, while skeleton master plots their next journey, unmoved by celebration. Harrier notices her shift in mood. Surrounded by the crowd, the party remains apart, Frey standing out in her unique costume. The master's mask fills the frame. Lost in old thoughts, Frey drinks like a quirky mascot among the revelers. The tavern buzzes with laughter and clashing glasses, a lively uproar that forebodes coming calamity. Vertical sequence reveals the tavern alive with lively scenes of laughter, cheer, and flowing spirits. Just for a fleeting instant, the war feels distant. Skeleton master at last breathes easy, briefly lowered guard. Harrier brings her a drink, saying he hasn't seen his teacher truly smile for quite some time. He notes how content she seems. Her gaze lingers on her cup, faintly lighting her sockets. She says a joyful memory returned, and Harrier earnestly asks if it was of her first pupil, the hero. Suddenly, memory overtakes them. Her mind revisits the red-haired hero victorious over a fallen beast. That first student was a hero, strong and just, always leaping forward when anyone needed saving. The skeleton master sips her drink and murmurs softly, the weight of old sorrow lingering within. Harrier eyes the tabletop, troubled inside. He confides that justice itself can confuse him sometimes. He recalls the northern battles, places where good and evil blurs and enemies are hard to identify. Standing by the window, skeleton master sees Mangle and the bard, wishing they had a chance for peace. She wonders aloud how life might look if people like them grew during tranquil times, not endless strife. She shares her belief. For the sake of ordinary happiness, she waged war to bring another conflict down. Understanding the irony, she reflects as Mangle and the bard vanish into a joyous crowd. Peace can follow even after pain. That's quite the risk. The master confesses each battle. She prays peace will someday come. Raising a finger, she gently reminds Harrier this is her second war, a survivor of 2 apocalypses. Harrier shows surprise, curious about the first war's tale. Master Skeleton delivers a blunt reply. She says it ended in failure, fighting for a brief peace after years of battle. She knows how frail dreams are. Gazing at her wrapped hand, she insists she fights now to give the next generation lasting peace. She'll take on that responsibility herself when the time comes. While outside the inn, 2 souls share a silent night that gently fades away. Far from the village, night is calm until quiet tremors are noticed from the southwest. Monstrous mass bursts forth from the dark. Scouts count around 300 creatures. More than simple goblins, a large reptilian eye glows ominously, promising trouble. An enormous creature awakens, and meanwhile, Mangle and his bard make charming plans in the square. Mangle flushes awkwardly, nervous yet trying to maintain his composure while fixing his helmet. She adores him, hands clasped, and he enthusiastically tells her to be safe. If only every day was this warm. See that expression? It's the glow of someone confidently stepping beyond lingered friendship. Yet Martyr soon interrupts, calling Mangle fortunate for finding his happiness at last. Martyr, in a flurry of envy, wonders if Mangle performed heroic miracles in a previous lifetime. Martyr questions if charm or magic won her over, but Mangle only tries to move forward. Famed heartbreaker in the making, the shift to the guard's routine resumes as a large trade wagon arrives. Mangle reviews documents, his demeanor instantly more focused and steadfast than before. Duty beckons, the wagon arrives, and the air grows tense, shifting from romance to looming risk. Beyond the peaceful walls, Martyr asks, what's your next move now? Martyr fears for their future since escaping Empire rule isn't simple, making family building true hardship. Mangle admits that hoping for a joyful family seems almost impossible in a world like theirs. Stealing his resolve, Mangle affirms it doesn't matter how harsh the times become. He says, if she's at my side, I can endure any age. His tenacity is rival to any story hero. Suddenly dread crashes through their peace as a frantic horse races into the yard bearing grave news. A battered messenger clings desperately to his mount, almost slipping from his seat. Bathed in wounds like he crossed blades with fate, dread strikes villagers as monstrous threats are close. Our view shifts to the guild board where among faded pleas a new, urgent notice emerges. Someone notices a fresh, blood-stained message, drawing all eyes to its eerie warning. That grim dispatch clings to the board. Skeleton and Harrier learn they have half an hour before disaster strikes. With a steady voice, Master Skeleton outlines the anatomy of a monster wave for the crew. She speaks with the ease of battle-hardened wisdom, detailing the usual trickle of beasts and past strategies, as Frey listens closely. Mangle interrupts, explaining this onslaught is an unleashed calamity now beyond all control. Memory flickers. Once, the Empire's armored elite would rally during the waves. Once structured and united, the Empire now hides behind barriers, forsaking the outlying folk. Images of thick forest and looming walls. The Empire lies caged and the countryside stands deserted. Master Skeleton surveys her party, protecting these borders now falls to those brave enough to stay. On the sidelines, a rugged mercenary relaxes, realizing they're the last line amid battered hopes. Mangle gazes afar, the burden of his earlier vow to the bard presenting itself too soon. Suddenly alarms blare, a guard shouts that the coming storm breached the western defenses. Panic erupts, orders resonance, ready weapons gather now as urgency chokes the air. Duties override fear as off-duty fighters waken, saving villagers takes precedence. No hesitation, sharing a solemn glance, Skeleton and Mangle understand survival rests on them. Mapping the battle, Skeleton designates where to funnel the threat, aiming to shelter the town. Mangle's nod seals his trust in her plan. He declares, "I rely on your guidance." Mangle's eyes linger on the guild board, heavy with the peril this desperate stand demands. Government order offering no bounty, the only cause left is the struggle for survival. Guard cautions those that chase coin should withdraw, this fight will be harsh and dire. Mangle shrugs off doubt, arming himself swiftly, for overthinking is futile against an advancing horde. He fastens his armor, gaze fierce and sure, no longer an ordinary sentinel but transformed by purpose. He stands as his homeland's shield. Upon close view, Mangle vows, will guard our village. Transformed by hardship, the air at the western wall swirls in dust as an enormous first wave arrives. Colossal slate-skinned beast bellows, its roar slicing through the air. With dagger-like fangs bared, the beast is met by Mangle's determined spear, face to face. Next to this monster he seems mere ant. Crimson bursts as Mangle wounds its shoulder. Though still fighting, every blow radiates shockwaves. Mangle strains his strength for survival. The beast's teeth gleam close, its hunger looms, Mangle its only barrier to the helpless villagers. Mangle yells that the creature is bound but warns, "I can't restrain it much longer." Mangle pins it by the neck as Gustator, masked and tactical, appears holding a luminous red potion. With a sharp cry, Gustator hurls the potion square into the monster's face. Havoc erupts as the chemicals ignite, sending the creature shrieking, skin bubbling with burning acid. It's agonizing for the beast. Mangle ends its pain with a precise spear thrust through its head. Relief flickers, Mangle scans the line, realizing each monster now is wielding much more power. He mutters, "Curse those Empire fiends," recognizing the threat was masked to set this invasion. A sweep of the battlefield reveals countless shadows rising, hinting the true catastrophe has just begun. Suddenly, tremors shake the earth. Mangle freezes, wonder growing. What immense thing makes the ground quake? Monstrous claw crashes down, gemstones splintering stone upon impact. This new creature dwarfs trolls, its ominously glowing eye cuts through the dark. Chill and age radiate from this wyvern, dragonkin so fierce, only full raids can conquer it. Panic erupts, guards shout desperately for everybody to run from danger at all costs. Order collapses as soldiers scatter, many wail in fear while others urge them not to give up hope. Mangle watches his men retreat, desolation settling in as the fall of the village feels imminent. Staring toward the bustling plaza, he recalls the bard, determined her life will not be forfeit here. Her peaceful smile flashes in memory, anchoring him while others flee the onrushing calamity. He casts his helmet aside, grips his spear, committed to die with honor if fate demands the end. He remarks he expected it, meeting death's cold gaze without flinching. Mangle's lone shadow confronts the beast. He admits this is all he knows to do. Chaos fills the village as guards direct people to the north gate, urging them to stay calm. Terror sweeps through, and families rush to escape with whatever they can manage. Guards push the villagers to pack little, aware there's no room for attachment as time runs out. The tavern maid hastily approaches a guard, fearofs in her trembling voice. She inquires about Mr. Mantle, and the guard, averting his gaze, says Mantle still combats the enemies at the wall. Panic gripping her, the girl seizes his coat, insisting on an honest answer right away. Gustator turns away, admitting Mantle vowed to buy them time, and she's hearing his farewell. Back at the front line, Mangle stands blood-soaked and ragged but refusing to fall. Instinct driving him, he surges forward with speed even he didn't believe possible. He rushes the wyvern, enacting a David and Goliath battle beneath a crimson sky. As the wyvern snaps at him, Mangle narrowly dodges emerges with a desperate tumble aside. His spear plunges deep into the beast's belly, its scream and blood bathe the air. Vaulting with his spear, Mangle clings fiercely to the monster's back, refusing release. Focusing through fatigue and agony, his resolve burns. He's determined, not seeking fame. Driven by love, Mangle unleashes a relentless fury, looking utterly transformed in battle. The wyvern hurls him away with its tail. Mangle is but a doll in its vicious grasp. He crashes into stone, a thunderous blow resonating throughout the terrified village. Lying bloodied, he murmurs of his fading strength, crawling desperately for his weapon. Electric energy flickers anew, Mangle drawing from untapped reserves of power long dormant. He infuses lightning into his spear, his gaze ablaze with searingly bright determination. The name of his supreme skill blazes across the battlefield. With a cry, he invokes Thunder Spear, total lightning strike through his magic spearmanship. Hurling the enchanted spear, a lightning bolt splits the air, striking the wyvern's heart. The beast is swallowed by white fire, its voice lost beneath rumbling thunder's fury. The wyvern tumbles burnt to the ground as Mangle stands, spent and gasping in the hush. He lifts his gaze to the rising smoke and wonders aloud if he has come too late. There is a desperate hope in his words, memories flicker of a girl who once believed in him. He nears collapse, yet his heart still beats with determination for her. Sinking to his knees, he stretches a hand toward the village, feeling his strength depart. He forces himself upright, leaning on his wrecked spear, declaring he isn't ready to surrender yet. Against a leaden sky he stands once more, face smeared with blood and courage. He appears spectral, yet determination still shines fiercely in his burning eyes. Suddenly, footsteps encroach. A pack of lesser beasts approaches to finish the job. Trapped, he recalls tales of fabled heroes that he once witnessed in awe. He realizes his plight echoes stories of dragon slayers saving their village from ruin. A hulking gray troll lifts its mighty fist, poised to crush him beneath its strength. Without blinking, Mangle watches an explosion of purple energy tear the troll asunder. We see the troll's eye enclose just as an arrow pierces straight through it. Mangle's mind concludes his heroic fable just as the surrounding chaos is reignited. He yearns to rescue the princess, while Skeleton Master and Harrier descend like lethal angels. The fight resumes for real, with Harrier rushing through foes, his blades swift and sharp. Harrier guards Mangle's side. A goblin stabs, but Mangle catches the blow with raw strength. Mangle swings his damaged spear, hurling the goblin aside, still fierce in battle. Huge monster smashes Mangle in the head, making him stagger and falter. Despite being battered, Mangle falls, then shouts that his determination is everlasting, even in death. Though his body falters, he is buried beneath debris and swarming monsters. Seems this might truly be the end for the guardian everyone adored. The camera lingers on his upright spear, a crimson droplet hanging from the blade. He collapses forward, his sight dimming into nothingness. He crashes onto his knees and hands, feeling his strength ebb away with each moment. A white haze swallows him as he starts passing out, but somehow he remains conscious. Forcing his eyes open despite blood in his hair, he gasps and faces the monsters closing in. With sudden force, an immense shock wave sweeps monsters away, northern spiral style. Master Skeleton returns, resuming her imposing guise as a wartime commander. Her sword pulses with ominous energy. She looses a slash that erases the monsters ahead. Embodying northern hunting, she moves with blinding speed and topples trolls in her path. A breathtaking montage follows as Master Skeleton clears the wall solo in mere seconds. Harrier trails close, cleaning up stragglers. He teases a monster, advising it to try protein. Frey approaches Mangle, giving him a look of genuine admiration. Mangle glances up in shock, his wide eyes filled with awe. He fumbles his words, realizing the legendary heroes are right before him. Master Skeleton flashes a thumbs up. Thanks to his hold, we could flank the attack easily. Mangle gives a pained, faint smile, knowing that his part is done. The master reports the villagers nearly evacuated, gazing thoughtfully over the destruction. Dust falls on Leafrid's crumbled western wall, the old market reduced to splintered ruins. Mangle watches the curling smoke. Today's madness was on a whole new level for him. Suddenly two come through the haze, a caped skeleton and a woman laughing with delight. But once overwhelmed whole squads now falls with ease before the skeleton's deadly grace. He realizes he's seeing a true hero. Suddenly, dread turns into legend. Mangle is full of awe, filthy and bloody, still transfixed by the hero before him. Master Skeleton surveys the chaos, noting how Mangle's once lifeless eyes now burn bright. As Harrier guards, the master observes Mangle. He's found something finally worth guarding. Their purpose is set, survive and defend together because real protection doesn't end in defeat. Harrier instantly lunges ahead, his blade alight, ready to sweep away the stragglers. His sweeping slash lands hard, snow and earth exploding outward from the mighty force behind it. The monster fares badly under that deep cutting blade, you can almost feel the sharp pain. The wyvern snaps wildly, but Harrier is ruthlessly aiming at its weak neck spots with expert grace. Harrier grips his sword so tight you can almost hear the squeaking leather, reminding himself not to waver. He's fighting for more than just his home, while Mangle observes in awe of his remarkable swordplay. Harrier drives his weapon into the earth, creating a shock wave hurling foes in all directions. He rides the frantic wyvern, striking it relentlessly as its screams echo through the chaos. The dragonkin are shown no mercy in Harrier's fierce gaze. Northern style shines as brilliance nears. He totally totals the giant beast with one precise cut. The monster's sheer size against him is staggering. His attack lands, succession flashes as energy tears across the wyvern's massive torso. With the balling flower move, the creature is shredded midair by brilliant pink-white spirals. Harrier pauses a moment to breathe, beads of sweat tumbling from his chin. He feels winded even by his standards, stands over the beast, admitting he can't match S-level. Though grief lingers, there's no time for pause. Ravenous gray trolls are rapidly closing in. Trolls launch at them, a barrage of muscle and rotten breath charging in relentless unison. With a chilling close-up, Freya grins wickedly, thrilled by the carnage she's witnessing. Harrier retreats with a backflip as a powerful energy burst wipes out the front rank of trolls. One monster's face is obliterated by a crushing blow, truly a headache beyond recovery. Frey soars, a red comet, laughing as she ignites chaos with rapid volleys of explosions. For once, Harrier shouts concern after her, urging Bray to watch her environment as she speeds around. Frey scoffs back, asking who's lecturing who, boasting that only frail ones need such caution. Embracing Night of War, she leaps into a giant monster's jaws, reckless spirit and utter faith evident. A seismic smash follows. Frey sinks her blade deep, cutting off the monster's name mid-blast. Now atop the fallen monster, she gazes down at the trolls below as if they were pesky insects. Frey notices a radiant core within the beast. While others would flee, she simply sees her mark. She unleashes her Earth Canyon Cutter, a swing so fierce it appears to divide the mountain itself. The resulting shockwave is powerful enough that distant creatures likely feel its tremors. Scarlet hues fill the scene. Far below, Frey glimmers in a huge ravine of wreckage and haze. Single stride lands in a river carved by the endless flow of monster blood. The land is drenched in the wreckage of Frey's fun. Close, her blood-stained gaze chills the soul. She stands solo, a lone boss before the foes, roaring die as she swings her blade to split the air. No foe flees this storm. Harrier, watching, quietly admires and fears mercenary prowess. He recalls resisting using someone so wild, yet seeing Frey, he understands the master's deal. Calmly, Frey gathers her severed leg from the earth, remarking with ease that it's now found. That's the strangest thing yet. She reconnects her limb, miffed her stretchy clothes are ruined. Stunned, Harrier remembers the tale of her astonishing recovery while silently watching. Facing Harrier, Frey's battered armor barely covers flesh that is rapidly mending itself. The tale reveals her coat of blood becomes energy to reattach lost limbs and close her wounds. Pure vampire sense, Harrier recognizes she embodies the Empire's greatest power. This is one of the Empire's four knights, War's own Frey, who savors her foe's blood and rallies anew. She commends Harrier's movement and advises him after their fierce exchange. Harrier immediately refuses, pointing out her careless defeats and the crackling tension between them. Once more, they leap into the chaos, leaving onlookers to wonder what creatures they face. Mangle hears his name and, looking up, nearly collapses from fatigue and loss of blood. The bard hurried back for him, shocking Mangle, who asks why she isn't escaping as she should. Amidst the ruins, they embrace in desperation, and she reassures him of the village's safety. Other adventurers and guards unite, for Master Skeleton has left few foes and safety is near. As tears fall, she scolds, outraged he braved the wyvern alone and fears for his life. Mangle meets her concern with a bleeding grin, insisting his tumble left just minor wounds. Of course, he boasts, gesturing at the wyvern's corpse, proud though it's not quite a dragon. A lifelong tale demands little. Unimpressed, the bard doubts him as Shaylet prepares for conflict. Mangle softly touches her chin, pausing her with a tenderness unfit for the chaos around them. Embracing more tightly now, he confides this moment far outweighs watching her in peril. Mangle's loyalty is clear as she weeps on his shoulder, whispering how deeply he was missed. Emotions strike harder than Frey's blade while Mangle stares at the sunset, honesty on his face. He murmurs, only one remains, as memories of the village's hope begin painting the scene. Youth dreams of legendary deeds are common, but seeing heroes and dragons for real is another matter. Undoubtedly, this moment resonates like the closing scene of a beloved fairy tale. She says he need not rescue her, his survival alone is solace and proof he's done enough. Mangle ponders that thanks to her, he's achieved an old dream he'd long thought unreachable. He murmurs his gratitude is unwarranted, yet a single remaining dream now stirs within him. As the sun sets over ruined lands, he reflects that this land offers no gentle future for families. Determined, he claims to have discovered the secret to a serene life for them both. We shift to the Master Skeleton, cloaked in threatening purple light, radiating, ominous and powerful. She unleashes the northern hunting move, Deer Trample, a sweeping stampede of pink energy. The Master's force incinerates trolls, their screams echo as they're wiped from existence. A monstrous jaw shatters in close-up. The Master now reveals ruthless determination without mercy. Among violet flames, Master Skeleton's fierce posture commands the field like death's own avatar. Monster's attempt to regrow its head fails instantly, and she remarks on its cut-off power. Surveying her hand, she recalls her heroic days and mocks the monster's flimsy methods. Shining Skull with dotted eyes proclaims with calm that such efforts are useless. The energy shifts, she shouts commands, ordering Harrier and Frey to corral their foes together. Surprised, Harrier hesitates. Frey leaps forward, urging everyone to strike with full power. Dramatic split screen captures Bray's pyro technique to the left and Harrier's northern style right. Deadly intent blazes in their eyes as they strike. Only chaos and flashes fill the screen. The torn earth is chaos, monsters pushed together as targets by unseen forces. Ready and tense, Master Skeleton crouches while her eyes flare with determination. Huge shadowy dragon rises behind her, and she declares it is now her turn. As she readies the northern hunt, she charges her blade with wild, crackling violet power. She jumps aloft, her ground stomp so fierce that it leaves a crater behind her. Rising upward, she becomes a speck silhouetted against the looming dragon's vast form. She lands boldly atop the dragon, sword gleaming fiercely with the promise of ruin. Radiance erupts, anguish primed, and its release will surely devastate. She cries, "Centennial tree felling slash," cutting a sweeping pink cross through its torso. The dragon howls in pain as her assault rips it apart from deep within. Knocked aside by the shockwave, Harrier grumbles that he made a beginner's error. Seeing his blade broken, the master's glare sharpens. She clearly dislikes this costly mistake. In disbelief, Frey and Harrier are caught mid-leap as their struggle abruptly stalls. Another wild grin twists across Frey's face, anticipation dancing in her eyes. She insists Harrier must finish the fight. A mere broken blade won't pause her style. Frey shields Harrier, warding off attacks as her master presses on to conclude the battle. The master surges forth, unleashing a towering, immense chain of destructive energy. Lone figure stands framed at the heart of a spectacular and fiery eruption. Monsters are wiped out. It's all blamed on the usual Empire's failed population rules. Unlike before, the disaster brought a new level of risk, though injuries were very few. Liver Village endured despite landslides, storms, and dangers crowding its long history. Purple banner with white circle flutters triumphantly above their protective barricade. Despite adversity the village endured, Mangle regrets that the master's group must leave. Masked now, the master says, "We must go, but your map will serve us well, Mangle." Mangle urges her to stay safe and to call him anytime, proving himself a loyal friend. Another glimpse of the flag reveals their resolve to turn today's triumph into a brighter future. With his new wife and squad, Mangle dreams of building a peaceful nation together. Presenting a golden emblem, he prophesies that beloved armies will come and asks them to mark their flag when they arrive. Mgil pledges himself to the cause and promises to act when fate demands it. Master Skeleton, Harrier lugging a huge pack, and Frey leave as the sun sets behind them. They promise to reunite, sealing the vow with a strong handshake. They will not forget this oath. Vertical scene reveals village guards and adventurers honoring their departing heroes in salute. Master Skeleton glances back and, hand raised to gold-lit skies, speaks of enduring sparks in the passage of time. All the energy of a real protagonist. Then a new scene, introducing a woman with lengthy purple hair. Inside a workshop, a tense blacksmith asks the purple-haired woman if something troubles her. The woman, strong and serious, dismisses the worry as her muscular arms catch the light. A novel face appears as we shift from battlefields to Artisan Street, sanctuary of legendary crafters. Beyond a mere neighborhood, this is the origin of the world's greatest handiwork. Fires burn eternal in this bustling area, trading quality weapons daily. Perfect swords await true warriors. Every corner rings with the sound of hammers, where even homes breathe fire and steel. Under smoky skies, those dark chimneys signify a city defined by relentless progress. We stop at the revered destination, Weaponsmith Searcher's Forge, marked by its storied sign. The epic sign mirrors the master, Sertra, whose hardened gaze hints at countless years amid iron. Inspecting every blade with care, he seeks perfection before summoning his apprentice Doran. Doran, lively with his feather duster, is asked by Searcher how long he served as an apprentice. Searcher applies firm pressure, impressed with Doran's quick progress, a rare praise from this usually stern teacher. While Doran busies himself, Searcher chooses this moment to deliver important news. He announces Doran's success and explains he may now inscribe his own name on the blades he creates. Doran lights up with joy, confirming in disbelief that this achievement is final. That priceless expression draws a sigh from Sir, who tells him to lose the face and buy a solid hammer at the market, leaving the apprentice hammer for the new students. Doran's so ecstatic he's flipping over chairs and yelling with happiness. Sir buries his face in his hands, full of regret about giving that promotion. An artisan values a hammer above all. It lets them rise beyond normal human boundaries. We see an artisan in his element, wrestling red-hot steel with pure will and a trusty hammer. The graduation hammer a craftsman buys becomes a lifelong friend, the start of a new journey. Smiling from ear to ear, Doran waves and strides towards the market. Today he's an artisan at last. He races through the city as Sir watches, hoping for a wise purchase. Sir massages his forehead, already dreading whatever flashy trinket Doran might pick, since new artisans often go for style over substance. He detects a chillingly familiar presence outside, wondering if he'll again face a dreadful skeleton. Master Skeleton and friends appear. Benira insists they are in the right spot despite her absence for a century. Sir peers from the shadows and says, "What timing, I figured I'd have some troublesome guests soon." Behind the skeleton, Frey and Harrier walk, speculating if this humble place is Sir's blacksmith. It looks simple for such a reputation. Sir stands in the doorway, arms out, warmly inviting them. Inside, the forge brims with swords, maces, and armors. Every creation seems ready for grand quests. Harrier notices the piece. Searcher explains apprentice apprentices are out, making the forge briefly silent. Crossing his arms in direct, Searcher asks what work the client requests from the forge. Master Skeleton advances, her hand alight with strange purple magic. She reveals a sword shard throbbing with dark power and says bluntly, "Can you handle this?" The skeleton's stare is daunting. This isn't an ordinary broken weapon, they're holding a relic. That's a special legacy item, and now we're back in the bustling market where Artisan Street is always alive with commerce. Struggling through the crush, Doran appears flustered by the noisy crowd. The vendor shouts about rare goods, so Doran pauses, curious about the wares. The merchant eyes the newcomer and pitches a cheap hammer, the usual beginner's pitfall. Doran's expression stays blank. Despite youth, he's learned from Sir and won't be fooled. He calls to mind his mentor's guidance on how to pick the proper hammer. First law, no markings, they rust. Second, use wooden handles but only when fixing things. Third, balance means everything. His teacher's voice lingers. The world punishes foolish wallets. He surveys the shop, gaudy symbols, cold metal grips, hammers lacking true balance. Calling it trash, Doran strolls off as the seller rails in anger, accusing him of trickery. Unfazed by harsh words, he moves on, certain his chosen hammer waits hidden close by. The sinking sun paints the city in gold. Everything glows beneath the serene sapphire sky. Yet Doran's anxious now, sweat on his brow as night takes hold and crow's calls grow louder. Despite his effort, only worthless tools catch Doran's eye as the search drags on. He finally admits nothing here suits him, with merchants driving him away closing up shops. Forlorn, Doran breaks down utterly, shouting his woes to the uncaring city night. Almost desperate, he pleads for a hammer the way one might long for a distant soulmate. All seems hopeless, then halt! He spots an elder alone on a red mat. The scene radiates respect and quiet skill. Drawn in, Doran observes as the silent elder guards a simply fashioned, perfectly weighted hammer. It's the very one he dreamed of. Just a glimpse tells him it's a rare work of consummate mastery. He asks the elder if it's available for purchase, prompting a gentle smile as the old man opens his eyes. Doran ponders why a craftsman of this caliber chooses to peddle treasures on bare ground. The elder waves off the question modestly and says, "If my work pleases you, take it, I need nothing more." Startled, he wonders if it's a joke. Just then, Master Skeleton and team finally meet famed Sir, and Solace turns to a harsh lesson. Sir surveys the cursed sword and instantly refuses, admitting it's beyond anything he's able to mend. Sir quietly reveals that this sword was shaped long ago, smithed from a true demon king's horn. No wonder the task defies him. After a trek through winter and beasts, the master faces a hard denial. Humbly, Sir says he can't recall ever forging such a remarkable and daunting blade. Of course, because, as the master adds, the smith they first approached has been gone for a century and more. Sir's expression sharpens, stunned to realize he speaks with a figure from the annals of legend. He claims she is not human. The skeleton's purple eye shines slyly. She admits it and recalls ancient forge journals. He recalls tales of the first smith who handled weapons said to be cursed. The founder also issued a warning about an immortal thief and a defiant benefactor. Searcher gapes at the master in shock, who says she might be the tale's main character after all. Sadly, admiration cannot mend blades, and Surtur notes that the ancient smith was exiled for taboo acts. Harrier erupts, his voice thunderous and wild, lamenting their fruitless venture. Sir urges calm, explaining that Artisan Street harbors tricksters yet offers genuine guidance too. He gestures them to an alternate route, stating they've proven themselves to those who came before. Sir quietly passes along a coded direction, search for Alley 74. A smith skilled in sacred relics dwells there, and they set off, seeking the fabled craftsman's forge. Before them looms a towering fortress of blackened stone, resembling a villain's lair. Sign declares this the very fires where gods once walked. Now that's dramatic naming. Frey marches ahead, nearly gleeful at the prospect of exploring yet another odd workshop. Inside, they find an ancient showroom packed with unusual artifacts and items blessed with age. Along the walls gleam great halberds and spears adorned with radiant holy emblems. Frey doubles over in amusement at the collection, even as the master moans, comparing the stench to chaos. A distant voice suddenly calls out from deep within, asking if they've come as patrons. A tattooed hand sparks a match and the shadowy figure appears, apologizing for pausing to pray. The figure requests they leave belongings along with weapons, then enter down the tunnel ahead. Caution surges as they file into that shadowed hallway, steps echoing with pending peril. Frey and Harrier continue in tense silence, questioning whether a snare awaits. Finally, Harrier softly challenges why any ordinary smith would own such an intimidating passage. The skeleton calmly answers his worry. Of course, it's a snare and someone lurks nearby. Harrier and Frey panic, realizing they've just surrendered their arms while suspecting an ambush. The master simply shrugs, saying their trap was intentional, meant to draw out the wary owner. And right as if on cue, a dark hand stretches from the shadows quietly behind them. Golden-eyed, marked youth grins. When oddities appeared, he'd hurl spells instead of welcomes. He yells, purification, as brilliant yellow magic bursts from his hands, flooding the chamber. Master Skeleton stands center stage in the blinding blast, wailing in theatrical agony. The priest Smith cries, "I'll return wandering undead to the great cycle of rebirth." Harrier's voice is frantic, his scream echoing through the cavern as energy ripples out. Unbothered, the master raises a green-glowing bony hand and weaves magic with calm purpose. She intones divine authority chain bender, as emerald chains erupt from below, aiming true. Harrier is bound in a blink, swaddled like a mummy, unable to so much as twitch. Thinking the struggle is won, the tattooed priest draws the chains tight, assured of victory. Harrier thrashes helplessly within the magical binds, utterly bewildered by the chaos. Standing serenely amid chaos, Frey shows no interest, her gaze glazed and tired. She effortlessly snaps the green magic chain with a hand, admiring his resourceful handiwork. Harrier is shrill, pleading for order, even while the chamber still erupts around them. In the center of purifying flames, Master Skeleton relaxes, stating the fire's warmth feels pleasant. Dumbfounded, the priest can hardly grasp that the holy purification has utterly failed his foe. Fright gives him wings and he flinches back, finally grasping the terror before him. The skeleton's gentle touch stops him cold from behind, a light tap meant in comfort. The master politely announces her undead nature, assuring she's not malevolent in the least. With her skull cocked, Edward Vanilla explains she'll duel if need be, yet prefers dialogue. Relief softens the room as the shadowed priest quietly begins to laugh at the situation. Bursting with laughter, he boasts, "Interesting, a friendly undead with a skull's unique charm." Stepping into view, the priest reveals his heavily muscled torso, adorned with tattoos and pride. Cheerful, he introduces himself as Gregory Gilman Theo, Master Smith of the Hearth, walker among divine. Eyeing the broken demonic blade, Gregory wonders if she's here for divine restoration of that artifact. Gregory studies the radiant pink sword, inquiring how she came to possess such a thing. The master clarifies it's half of a demonic sword, so without its twin, true necromancy is out of reach. She demonstrates that any undead she calls forth with it falls back to dust instantly. Gregory remarks that an undead with a sword forged from a god's remains cannot reincarnate. The master insists her being doesn't matter and asks if Gregory can repair the sword, pledging rich payment. Gregory grows solemn, stating his forge honors one rule: he must hear the owner's tale first. He smiles slyly. If the story resonates with him, only then does he lift his hammer to work. Harrier and Frey settle near the hearth as Gregory hands out drinks and requests a tale of struggle or glory. Gregory's belief runs deep. He seeks to know what the weapons he makes have faced and who the armor guards. He snaps his fingers, send sparks. Without its story, even a divine artifact is lifeless metal. The hearth blazes higher, casting warm gold across the otherwise shadowed room. Gregory sits by the fire cross-legged, resembling a shaman weaving prized legends. He invites her to share her history. As the flames dance, Master Skeleton delves into her sorrowful life. A vivid collage unfolds: friends and foes, fierce fights, molten trials, and aching misfortune. Scenes of sacrificed villages and her treasured pupil race by in memory and blaze. The tale weighs heavy, a spirit waging her fight to guard what remains of the future. Gregory is spellbound by the flame's light, describing it as a grand legend he is living in. Frey, startled, notes that much of what she heard from the tale was entirely new to her. The skeleton folds her hands, softly stating there never was a particular need to tell Frey before. Gregory rises, shoulders rimmed with flames, and mentions he's found curious details in it all. His gleaming eyes blaze as he examines her, speaking of seeing echoes of the golden-haired hero. Gregory contemplates the radiant pink shard chipped from the Demon King's ancient horn. He turns to Mr. Vanilla, questioning if the blade truly holds the power for necromancy. Master Skeleton answers softly, yes, pairing necromancy with the sinister sword is no surprise. Gregory gazes on the rain of sparks, a secretive smile shadowing his lips. He claims it's just her own longing. Wait, what? Gregory reveals a harsh truth. That immense evil power flows from the sword, not from within you yourself. You only believe so because of the sword, as Harrier stands behind, bewildered. Gregory conjures a tiny flame on his hand, explaining non-mages miss magic's true essence. With a sly smile, the flame begins to float, poised to humble the infamous warrior. He reveals magic originates in the depths of human thought. Magic springs from burning hope, like a freezing soul fixating on fire's comfort. Mages trust their own power, while priests call on miracles by believing in gifts from the gods. He tells MS, Cyrillic letter 456 Vanilla she's ensnared by the idea that the sword claims necromancy's throne. The skeleton gazes at her bare hand as the truth strikes, questioning if belief shaped reality. Gregory affirms this revelation with certainty. That is right, Edward Vanilla. Necromancy never came from the sword. Gregory grins as purple energy flares behind him. Raising the dead is your own power, he declares. You are the Demon King, finger pointed at her. In the Empire's shadowy halls, nobles are frantic, screaming about their looming doom. A hidden noble grits his teeth, questioning if the Emperor's been informed of this crisis. He is told not yet, as there seems no need. A creepy grin gleams, suggesting they solve it discreetly. The noble roars madly, asks if this is a joke. Thousands vanished, even the night of war. There's nothing discreet about disaster. Panic sweeps as their force is simply gone. Another shadowy figure sighs, blaming the unchecked wrath of Frey as a deadly error. They demand vengeance, shouting threats of punishment and ugly calls to violence. They loudly insist upon displaying their empire's might and punishing all dissenters brutally. Slender, pale, clawed hand with bony grace caresses the petals of a crimson blossom. A voice demands they showcase true horror. Petals drift away as the Empire's opponents are warned. You see a blue demon girl with glowing red eyes gnawing a flower stalk beside a great dragon. The dread of death looms in Artisan Street. Gritty streets match a plot now thick with intrigue. It's a refreshing shift from doomsday monsters, as at the forge, Master Skeleton receives unsettling news. The sword she used is more troublesome than ever suspected. Master Skeleton confesses she was surprised at first, but is relieved the request was granted. You can sense the release in her tone. Theo is a peculiar old smith, but his expertise is legendary, having worked with sacred relics since before most were born. Theo stands among the top 5 craftsmen continent-wide, arms that strong can't come from sweet potatoes alone. Amateurs like Doran mindlessly churn out identical pieces, while artisans like Theo pour their entire being into each clang of steel. Master Smith's single blow thunders like a storm upon the anvil. Each strike is meticulously placed to achieve flawlessness. Theo and the novice muse that true artisans are quirky, often refusing jobs that don't catch their interest. Theo is infamous for having a particularly sharp disposition. It's been over 2 years since Theo last accepted a commission. Frey tells Harrier it's an honor to have the smith's skill, while Harrier frets over the impending cost. Theo warns that some adventurers disrespect smiths, but that's foolish. You never want the person who crafts your defenses annoyed at you. Battle veterans understand that warriors and smiths form a partnership that can't be severed. Their alliance is forged by necessity. If a weapon holds against their strength, warriors never hold back. That promise binds artisan and hero. A single glimpse of a legendary warrior reminds us that greatness stood atop a smith's hammering through the night. Lost in thought, Master Skeleton studies her bandages, resolved to find the perfect forge for her cursed sword. The smith respects this trust, yet declares, in the end, true trust must be placed in yourself. If you cleave a foe, it's a sword. If you pierce one, then, wielded well, it acts as a spear. Everything lies in its use. Theo gazes at the master, certain their cause is just if unknown. Frey and Harrier relax, mulling over the smith's solemn advice. The quiet hints at a looming training sequence. The master's looming silhouette makes nerves raw as Harrier seems to awaken to his own strength. The rookie smith, grateful for their trust, realizes the immense task ahead will demand endless coffee. With resolve, Harrier slams his hand down purposefully. Now dismissing delays and indecision, he calls for his master, fiery determination in his eyes. She cocks her head, puzzled at the sudden challenge. After waiting so long, Harrier finally gathers the courage to test how far he has come. He officially seeks a match with the legend and leads her to Bing Cannon Mine, a hidden arena perfect for intense sparring. Well, it's only a spar. Harrier offers thanks that his master agreed to join him on the spur of the moment. He's sharper now than before. Master Skeleton says it's alright, no worries, as she draws out 2 wooden sticks with practiced ease. She claims words mean little, he must truly grasp it with his heart. This is classic shounen logic. Frey leans back in the wings, just taking it all in. She urges Harrier to lock blades and reflect deeply, remarking it's been ages since dueling like this, as memories of the northern mountains leave an ache in her ancient bones. Master Skeleton cautions Frey not to even consider stepping in. Despite the makeshift weapons, she's all in. Frey asserts, of course not, relax, cheerily playing the mischievous referee. Frey mentions that fighting in Master Skeleton's current form wouldn't be enjoyable anyway. Frey adds salt to the wound, counting down while the tension thickens tangibly. Master Skeleton prepares to teach her pupil, calling out, "Be eggy," as Harrier rockets toward her. Not an ounce of doubt, just raw ferocity. Frey is honestly amazed, noting Harrier's greater burst speed since Lever Red Village. Close shot captures Harrier's serious gaze as he narrows the distance. His recent growth is clear and the duel starts, wooden swords blurring by as they send shocks through the air. Master Skeleton easily sidesteps, every move subtle and calculated, outthinking Harrier at each turn. With a solid smash, Harrier strikes the ground, hoping to pin down his teacher. Dust clouds swirl from the force while Harrier's persistent onslaught drives the master back toward the canyon's edge. Harrier offers no reprieve, utilizing a nearby rock he propels himself for more drive. For once he strategizes mid-fight, golden eye sharp, focused on finding even a sliver of weakness in Master Skeleton's defense. Their exchange becomes a storm of strikes, wood and light spark everywhere, finally making the master shift her stance. Harrier lands a blow so intense it sends tremors through every corner of the mine. Frey's shock is clear. Master Skeleton adjusts her stance, newly alert and now viewing Harrier as a worthy rival. The camera closes on the master's fingers gripping the stick, wood bending beneath the strain of her bony hands. Harrier rushes again, the master halting him with a mighty parry that echoes through the canyon. With brilliant speed, the master counters. Harrier fends it off, but the blow sends him backwards. Her speed could never be guessed from someone who has no breath in her lungs. A swirl of purple and gray, she moves too fast. Harrier's fierce, sweaty focus reveals he's understanding just how vast the gulf is between himself and the legend he faces. Crack Master delivers a fierce blow to Harrier's ribs, sure to leave a bruise by morning. Her skull face betrays no feeling, making the master's relentless lesson all the more chilling. A wide view reveals the canyon ground tearing apart as their wild clash rips through the earth. Master Skeleton hesitates momentarily, her hood casting her expression in a deep, ominous shade. She studies Harrier's progress, though exhausted and bleeding, he refuses to yield in the fight. Harrier's fiery gaze remains, as the master swings at an unlikely angle, her sword a sinuous arc. Snap at last, Harrier's wooden blade succumbs, splintering beneath tremendous force. Clutching the broken hilt, Harrier faces the master's blade, stopped just shy of his throat, true restraint. Harrier faces the demonstrates just how much master's blade quicker the master truly is. That last exchange left him outmatched, yet Harrier suddenly tries a desperate kick as his sword breaks. Call it persistence, his kick catches her cloak, pushing her back a step against all odds. Point for grit as Harrier now grapples the master, shifting to a creative, messy close combat. He lunges with a wild cry, pouring every last ounce of strength into his final charge. Close on the master's face, could that be real surprise flickering in her hollow eyes? Harrier might have surprised the legend. The next distant shot reveals a plume of dust hanging in the air. Within that dusty shroud, Harrier's movements flicker almost invisibly, like a wraith in shade. He hazards one last counter. A stinging blow lands at the master's head, or maybe just her hood. Regardless, it's a contact. The recoil hurls Harrier away, spinning through air like a weightless doll. Dust and debris erupt violently where Harrier crashes, the canyon wall likely trembling from impact. Frey, watching thoughtfully, realizes Harrier converted a targeted landing attack into a potent counter. Impressed, Master Skeleton steps from the haze and kindly asks if Harrier's alright with real concern. Harrier slouches by a rock, chin bloodied, murmuring that it all turned out just as he foresaw. Irritated by their power difference, he tells the master he guessed she had grown weaker. Struggling with defeat, Harrier admits the power gap, while Master just quietly receives his frustrations. She notes he stayed on defense. Harrier vents that nothing surprised her, feeling babied by a legend. Harrier jabs at the master's pride, asking if she holds back because he seems too feeble. The master just laughs at his suggestion, saying he's reaching as Frey comments from the ground. Frey tells the master she went easy on him just now. She says she can tell from prior battles and wonders if the master's heart softened after their trip to the forge. Master Skeleton waves it off, suggesting dealing with Frey first, but Harrier insists Frey is correct. Harrier observes that after their visit to Theo, the master's been lost in her own head. He perceives more than he shows. Master Skeleton's glowing eyes reveal he guessed right. Harrier clenches his fist in frustration and loudly reminds everyone that they are warriors. He claims a true fight is worth more than simply sitting around and sharing cookies. Harrier's making sense. He warns the masters in danger of becoming like when they first met. He says even straying off course can end right, and believes she too can finally find her way back. He reassures her, saying she has support now. His words profoundly reach her, confirming his loyalty. He tells her title or not, she's unique, serving as emotional anchor to the legendary skeleton. He swears to follow his path and help guide her, coming from the north to stand at her side. Master Skeleton stares silently at her skeletal hands, clearly shaken by Harrier's heartfelt speech. He assures her she isn't a demon king, her blade instead protects and rescues countless souls. He proclaims she's saved millions, his belief unwavering and absolute in his legendary master. Even a skeleton can be moved. The tale shifts to a bleak, sunless world where hope fades. We glimpse the figures of ancient heroes, pondering if darkness makes waiting so effortless. The master chuckles softly, admitting her fortune to find such a disciple in strange times. He tells Harrier to resume sparring, determination restored, and prepares for a true match. She promises to fight with resolve that honors his words, revealing her real abilities. Master Skeleton gazes at her wrapped hand, filled with gratitude for such loyal students. Close up on the master's eyes, the tension in the room grows exponentially heavy and fierce. Harrier looks excited and nervous as he shouts back, eager to witness the master's full power. Frey lounges on a rock, smirking, remarking she never agreed to go all out, knowing things will soon explode in noise. Master Skeleton steps ahead, every movement making the very earth beneath her tremble from her weight. Harrier stands on full alert, his stance held with perfect readiness for what's about to happen. Holding his breath for that opening attack, he watches the master pause, raise her fist, while silence chokes the canyon, all waiting for what's next. Pebble tumbles down, shattering the stillness, and tension stretches so tight it could break steel. A sudden burst, both vanish in a storm of speed, taking their spar into absolutely wild territory. A gigantic dust cloud erupts, revealing the duel underway, appearing to flatten the entire mine. Harrier aims for a punch, but the master's swifter, now behind him. Today, reaction is not in his favor. Their blows rain in quick succession, appearing as streaks of gray and brown colliding again and again. Frey observes, genuinely awed, quietly noting everything has completely changed from before. Master Skeleton abandons defense, going fiercely on the attack. Every strike lands relentlessly. Harrier now emphasizes defense, settling on a decisive moment for a single perfect counter. The duel blurs by in rapid motion, every hit sending waves of violence and bone-rattling sound. Harrier struggles to hang on, battered by the master's strikes, relentless as thunder nearly spent. He steadies himself for one last, desperate move. Risking it all on this counter, Harrier faces the glowing-eyed master's sweep, everything comes down to this. Harrier ducks perfectly, landing a clean blow in the master's torso, his timing decisive. His face drips with effort, resolve burning as he tries his utmost to stand as the master's equal. They fight at sunset, fierce violence swirling in stark contrast to the serene natural backdrop. Harrier pauses for air, battered but undeterred, that determined spark still alive in his eyes. Change erupts, Harrier darts through opening after opening, seeking any fumble in her heavy defense. Her skeletal hands seem everywhere at once, the master a whirlwind of offense and defense combined. Harrier gets schooled, crack, the master lands a heavy strike right to his head in this high-stakes spar. Pain flickers in his eye with each blink, exhaustion making it all the harder to hang on. Reaching his threshold, both sense it as Master Skeleton slams Harrier into the wall, fracturing rock with the blow. Harrier scrambles in the dirt, refusing to give in and preparing for one final desperate move. Summoning every ounce of strength, Harrier hurls himself into the air once more. Attempting one last reckless act, Harrier faces Master Skeleton, who waits silently in the shade, prepared for his final bet. Master Skeleton has anticipated the entire plan as Harrier bellows a powerful scream and quickly closes in. Crashing into the stone beside her, he tries to use the surroundings to force an opening. With minimal motion, Master Skeleton tilts her head, effortlessly dodging the flying stone. She cries out, her voice resounding through the cliffs as the canyon eventually crumbles, unleashing stones and dust upon them. Their spar shatters the entire escarpment, making the landscape split and collapse. It seems Harrier's crafty plan may have turned against him, while Master Skeleton, calm, notices he targeted the cliff with purpose. She understands Harrier only lured her near the rocks to trap her, commendable for a novice fighter. Dust clogs the air, blanketing the battlefield as if a great structure crumbled within the mines. Merging unruffled through the haze, Master Skeleton appears spectral among the swirling white. In an instant, Harrier darts out from the cloud, delivering a final surprise kick. A resounding blow cracks the air. Master Skeleton retorts that his biggest fault was misjudging his adversary. Perched above, Frey is impressed, admitting that even the rock slide was a clever piece of his strategy. Master Skeleton calmly snags Harrier's leg, pointing out he never made the rocks strike their target. Beads of sweat on his brow, Harrier meets her hollow gaze from mere inches away. Realizing defeat, he crumples to his knees and quietly admits his loss before her overwhelming power. A wide shot frames their figures amid the shattered ravine, with a spent Harrier completely exhausted. Master Skeleton thanks him. The fight has cleared her mind, while Harrier just laughs and says that wasn't even a warm-up. Harrier rests and meets his master's gaze, hearing her praise his newfound unparalleled strength. Stunned, Harrier finally earns the accolades he'd so long waited for. With renewed enthusiasm, Frey announces it's her time to act, overjoyed after that display. Master Skeleton falls silent with a somber look as Frey observes that she's been quiet since yesterday's Demon King remark. Frey, grinning madly, declares her appearance never changes, no matter her behavior or title. She's being a real bully. Master Skeleton is simply a shadow fed up with her antics. Harrier tries to keep the peace, asking if they're tied with one win each. Frey proposes a best of 3, and a red box frames it like an official challenge. Frey gets that fearsome shaded glare with glowing eyes and laughs, since when is it best of 3 on the battlefield? She claims only the last one standing matters in battle, and Bray charges in wildly. Harrier yells for them to stop, knowing this fight spells disaster for the whole village. Suddenly, a huge steel pillar crashes in and someone screams at them loudly. The pillar crashes down, shooting dust between Frey and the master and kicking up debris. Master Skeleton stares in disbelief, unsure how a steel pillar just flew in. She looks toward the interrupter, who shouts, asking just what chaos they're causing. It's the muscle-bound blacksmith, angrier than ever. She demands answers and plans to teach them manners. Harrier struggles from his tough spar, nose stuffed with cotton pressed to stay upright. Master Skeleton checks on her student as they recline, resting inside the workshop. Harrier says he's fine, obviously lying. Doran stares, knowing this looked far harsher than training. Theo warns that, unless they tone it down, Harrier may not make it to retirement age. It's a rough awakening, but the master notes true damage came from Megania, who hit Frey like a wrecking ball. Master Skeleton explains the chaos as Doran silently processes the devastation. A single comes back. Sir adds Megania likely lost it after hearing about mine intruders. She's more action than words. The master asks about Megania and Doran calls her a feared local legend. Though a top artisan, she's mainly known for stopping by Mooch Coffee regularly. Artisans really are unique. She reveals she overheard them while Doran nervously tries to be kind to her. Theo pokes in, curious why Megania is visiting the shop this early in the day. Mood inside the shop is quickly growing tense and overfilled. Megania explains she rushed over because her dear junior asked for a special lesson. Doran wishes he could disappear, while Doran can't believe this top artisan offered a personal lesson. That often means twice as much effort. She says that to earn respect you must visit countless forges. The grind really is endless. Megania beams, her project nearly complete, while Doran grumbles about being stuck as her perpetual coffee runner. Doran recalls her ongoing research and wonders aloud if it's been finally finished after all this time. Master Skeleton examines the sword and calls it a marvel, believing it can finally grant his crew's deepest hopes. He ponders the many Imperial citizens desperate for the strength to defend themselves. This is much more than a sword, it's defiance itself. Theo questions if she's still working despite his earlier warning. She insists she must keep her word and finish the work, refusing to quit even against her father's wishes. Charged silence falls between them, the mood growing sharp as they lock eyes. The tension is immense. Theo sighs, asking her to help before lessons start, deciding some minds need freedom. Megania can't stop grinning, provided she gets a generous reward when all's said and done. Always chase that income, sister. Doran envies her gear while Magna teases him over his jealousy. Serta describes Artisan Street harshly. Only undeniable results and true skill are valued there. Status and quirks mean nothing. Only skill earns respect. Names on that unforgiving street. He shares that Megania was once a frail, abandoned girl, but now, frailty no longer describes her. She chose a hammer in place of her father's comfort and embraced heat rather than a mother's care. Her body finally matched the strength of her resilient soul. She blossomed into a world-renowned artisan, and Doran's told to learn from her relentless effort. Here's a true craftsman's heart. Witness the cover art with Magna looking commanding and strong. We move to the mountain's middle slope, just beyond the edges of Artisan Street. An eerie crimson clouds the sky as someone mocks the conscription officer. Pride always precedes disaster. Here stands Commander Beulah of the Third Army, irritated by this trip to a city of smiths. He questions what there is to gain from this small town. Clearly he looks down on the craftspeople. They are after just 2 prizes, says the officer coolly, for someone on the edge of invading a city. They aim to conquer Artisan Street, and then dig up its graves to seize the legendary hammers within. It is said each artisan uses 1 hammer for life, their hopes and spirit fused within every crafted tool. In time, that heart turns into sorcery, suffusing the metal with vibrant energy. These hammers serve as elite magical tools, yet artisans unwittingly take them to their graves, making the cemetery a vast vault for the Empire. Seen through an officer's eyes, it's nothing but a hidden fortune. The remains mean little, only the wealth matters. Oke senses Changtap Village's ghostly master lurks within this city, a fortunate convergence. He quietly calls his companion Sly for joining, knowing her true intent was always those enchanted hammers. He grins at the jibe, considering shrewdness just practical sense in her world. She approves the course: raise the city, gather the relics, and end the persistent skeleton's threat. She renders the coming devastation casual, then unveils a luminous crystal, stressing its importance. Volka nods in agreement, knowing this artifact could completely shift the war's balance. Imperial intrigue surges. She declares it essential to ship the treasure to the capital's lab for dismantling. Blending invention and conflict is a grim match. She orders Bulka to lead the assault before the knights reach the village, the means irrelevant. The 3rd Legion squad prepares to conquer Artisan Street. Enlisting a Death Knight shows their intent. She cautions him to act with absolute precision, demanding a flawless win to satisfy the Emperor. Machinations of conflict grind silently as dusk enfolds the unaware city. Night deepens while troopers ready themselves to strike hidden within the shadows. A scout quietly details the city's status, for intelligence is vital to a perfect operation. No clear suspicions arise, but word spreads that the enchanted skeleton stirred havoc near the mine. Informants also notice the Empire's former smith has appeared once more. Matters worsen for the spies. Their chief winces at the blacksmith's return, anxious he hasn't betrayed state secrets for nothing. She already suffers a headache coping with the Empire's crafty old raccoon. Realizing the Death Knight approaches, she decides swift and immediate action is vital. Lingering would be their doom. Anxious, she bites her nail, fearing delay will bring only ruin. Haste is their ally. With a flick, the entry yields, letting them silently step inside. Room by room they comb for their prize, unwavering in the hunt for that elusive object. Out of nowhere, a hidden voice intones that long ago, this shop ceased to welcome guests. Megania catches them in the act, demanding to know what business they have here so late at night. She warns them that every piece belongs to a priceless collection, one far beyond their means. The infiltrator shrugs it off as a mix-up, claiming she's a civil servant sustained by public funds. She cheerfully reveals that the enchanted arms and the item are being retrieved for the Empire. Charming story, Megania laughs, mocking her, but only one of them will survive this pointed debate. A simple word releases chaos: eliminate them. Shadows stir and the Empire's trap unfurls. A thunderous force shakes the floor, Megania spinning aloft, a purple storm raging through air. It's clear the spies gravely misjudged what a master artisan can do under her own roof. She grabs a weapon from the display, demonstrating a true artisan is never defenseless at home. An armored soldier charges ahead, but his reaction is sluggish and not nearly swift enough. Swift, blue glowing daggers burst forth and strike deep into the armor that tries to protect him. The infiltrator reels in disbelief, astounded that her dangerous exhibit is truly so deadly. Enchanted daggers cut straight through the thick defense like it's just soggy paper. Such skill in enchanting shows itself instantly. the mighty assault sends the agonized knight down. Megania stands looking unimpressed, while the spy must admit this artisan's skill is legendary. Megania dismisses the surprise. If this amazes you, know my true power is barely awakened. Even more daggers begin circling the air, arcs of lightning weaving around each magical blade. The air buzzes with energy and doom descends, foretelling danger to every Imperial invader. The enchanted blades practically ensured their mark. Think of them as precise flying knives. Exciting, isn't it? Though costly and expendable, such daggers are still completely worthwhile. With spells like these, even a humble smith could defeat a knight. Dozens more shimmer behind her. Now will you answer my question? She asks, as the foe is fenced in by menacing floating blades. Lands foiled, Megania tells them fortunes are irrelevant. She's chosen another cost instead. Their curiosity comes with a steep toll. Generosity is not in Megania's stars this fearful night. A radiant blue glow envelops the shop, a final warning shining before her ultimate action. She claims she'll protect her forge at any cost. Megania turns fierce and unyielding. Artisan Street, once silent at night, becomes a battleground, and Bacola can't stand Megania's mood. Glowing with blue mana, Megania's daggers hover, ready to strike anyone nearing her. Bacola warns her not to brag over one lucky move, but Menia stares coldly, daring her to stay alert. Bacola, furious, responds with venom and charges at Megania, vowing to defeat her at lightning speed. Menia remains calm, empowering her daggers while electricity dances across the entire shop. The daggers shoot out in glowing streaks as a knight steps in, yelling for Lady Bacola to hide. True to RPG tanks, he parries several daggers, but their force nearly knocks him off balance. While Bacola stays safely behind, she lets her hired guard absorb the oncoming danger. Showing noble detachment, Megania laughs openly at their unimpressive fighting display. Megania criticizes him for being struck, while Bacola, unimpressed, doubts Megania's tricks. Bacola warns her simply, if you overestimate yourself, defeat comes swiftly. Bacola summons powerful fire magic, forming a towering infernal limb from blazing flames. Megania gets trapped in the fire's range, quite unlike their earlier relaxed coffee shop moment. Her blue daggers meet in the inferno, but Bacola's flames threaten to overwhelm her energies. Yet Megania calmly emerges from the hazy smoke, claiming that the flames are merely warm. She jests sharply, asking if Bacola believes mere fire can harm a seasoned blacksmith. Used to furnace heat, Megania finds the deadly fire spell barely hotter than bathwater and laughs. Bacola now appears worn, yet that strange, unsettling grin doesn't leave her face. Bacola admits to past losses but hints that Megania's days of escape are ending, just a bluff. Suddenly, another knight strikes from the side, sweeping in with a heavy horizontal swing. Bacola is poised nearby, eyes alive with dangerous, brilliant blue malice. Thinking victory is hers, Bacola catches Megania in a glowing red cage, revealing high-level gear. Despite being caged, Megania still smirks, radiating confidence as if already winning. From within her barrier prison, Megania erupts a storm of blue daggers at her adversaries. Managa dashes about the shop in a flourish, her coat swirling like an animated whirlwind. Now she's flinging an ordinary dagger by hand, while Nola stands utterly perplexed. The knight intercepts it, thinking it's harmless since it lacks any magical aura. Close in on Megan's lips as she quietly breathes, "Dipper, oh boy, here we go." The spinning knife hurtles forward, charged with intense kinetic energy. It slams into the knight's helmet with formidable wrecking ball force. Smoke and blood erupt. That plain blade caused even more havoc than enchanted weapons. The knight and Bola are forcefully thrown back out into the open street. A rude awakening for everyone, Megania retreats within her barrier, outcrying for funnel. It feels like she's switched sports, while Bacola grins knowingly, confident she's seen through it. Megania fires a brilliant pink blast of energy from within her shimmering barrier. The whole street glows. Paka bets on defense, yelling a knight won't fall for it twice. The knight absorbs the direct hit, sparks bursting as his armor turns fiercely crimson. Bacola moves like a shadow, slicing through the air beneath her cloak, almost invisible. She completes a rapid dash, her feet sliding with speed across the weathered stones. Columns of blue light crash beside Megania, who admits wielding several sword constructs feels unfair. A rain of knives sweeps in, and Managa reveals explosive force demands a straight bolting flight. Bacola shrugs, laughing. She says Menia can only guide a few, the rest are wild scatter. Bacola slips past a direct hit and instantly closes on her enemy, calling the assault feeble. She delivers a ruthless blow straight into Menia's midriff. Megania is flung backward into her shop, shattering through heaps of sturdy metal rods. Bacola emerges from the drifting dust like a true villain in a tale's grand finale. Menia lies on the floor, gasping and fighting for breath. Even the strongest now shows weakness. Paula derides her, belittling her modest skills. Proving to be an ungracious victor, she lands another harsh hit, scoffing that it's useless on knights. Bacola leans close, grins, and calls her a smug little brat. Shadows make her face wild and unhinged. She claims Megania is nothing more than someone who forges metal in the smithy. She presses a knife to Menia's throat, swearing to keep her down while Megania, bruised and bloodied, still curses, and the scene reveals the sprawling city. The narration confesses that Imperial knights have lost the skill they once possessed. It's shameful. Back at the gate, Paka smirks and says she cares nothing for fallen knights if victory is assured. She lifts the blue mana crystal, eyes lighting up like a child gleaming at a new treasure. Without warning, a towering bolt of blue lightning hammers down directly in front of them. Aka's eyes widen in shock. She's stunned that fierce opponent is still putting up a fight. From every corner of Artisan Street, blue beams slice upward into the night sky. Magna battles fiercely to her last breath, clenching a bloodied fist while laughter echoes in the gloom. It's the old blacksmith from before, standing in his ruined shop, warning the intruders against sliding Artisan Street. As the town stirs awake, villagers spot a familiar sword, crafted by Megania's own workshop. Piccola knows the covert operation has crumbled, and regrets not avoiding open war with blacksmiths. The Death Knight commands Piccola to keep her gaze fixed forward. A great force comes near, trailing blue energy through the city's dusky alleys at a breakneck pace. Master Searcher recognizes the booming voice. It's the old former Imperial Workshop master. The elderly smith shouts for all to hear that everything taken is part of a forced requisition. Piccola plugs her ears in frustration, the blacksmith's loud voice shattering the peace as they try to escape. She deems it pointless to spare him now, despite his connection to the Empire's past. With an icy response, the Death Knight unsheathes his blade, clearly prepared to strike. A close-up of his masked face pulses with silent but fierce intent to take a life. An intent to take a clash of life metal ignites sparks as the Death Knight derides the aged smith, doubting his ability. The old man trembles yet won't submit, though he knows victory isn't his to claim. Piccola laughs slyly, saying the old man owes his fortune to them, wondering why he's now a foe. Struck hard, the old man keeps speaking. He became rich but lost himself, silk or soot, a true smith. He meets her glare with seething anger, daring her to sully his sanctuary with her tainted touch. He endures another vicious blow, blood arcing from his wounded shoulder. Nearly spent, he holds his ground before his shop, declaring it home to masterworks and elite artisans. He orders her away, making it clear she cannot snatch even a single thing from this place. The fight draws a gathering crowd. Villagers whisper worries about an Imperial army ambush. From the darkness, Master Sir observes, troubled, knowing the old man doomed himself by acting. Sir's brow is damp as he understands he must hurry if he hopes to survive what's about to unfold. The Death Knight decides to end the old man for old time's sake, done with the charade. A merciless close strike from the knight lands square upon the elderly master's grimacing face. His eyes are wide open, yet the spark of unwavering determination endures in his gaze. Blood spatters his mustache, signifying the demise of a once illustrious mastersmith. The knight's sword slices through him completely, painting the air with bitter scarlet loss. The old man crashes into shattered crates, his sword slipping and rolling into the dust. A grave wound gapes in his chest, marking his one-way passage to the land beyond. With labored breath beneath the knight's shadow, he shouts for the townsfolk to seal the gates. Packed with anxious onlookers, the square watches. The knight curses suffering all for one old man's stand. Choking out words, he confides he has entrusted his hope into the hands of a young man. At peace, and with a final sharp remark, he calls his foe lowly, unbroken to the last. From the crowd, Surtur steps forward, raising his voice to rally every artisan in earshot. He urges them. The Empire plans to seize Artisan Street, so become the wall that defends their home. Close focus on the blood-soaked sword catches every drop of the legend's agony. His call to the artisans resounds. Searcher's eyes blaze with newfound determination. He bellows for united resistance, demanding the street be defended at all costs. Single gritty hand reaches up, bloodied fingers stretching for the distant stars above. The parting wish of the dying master, a plea to protect, continues echoing on.